Chapter 160. Tear. The treasure will enchantment trapped Xing Hui for less than a minute before it was forcefully torn apart by Xing Hui. In terms of defense, the treasure will enchantment was not weak. It was a level 6 treasure will enchantment, which allowed him to withstand attacks of level 60 for some time. Unfortunately, the Divine Sun Golden Crow skill was overbearing and specialized in attacking. Xing Hui, who had been enhanced by the divine skill, had already reached level 60. Coupled with the fact that he had the upper level 6 Golden Crow sword in his hand, his attack level was further enhanced. In terms of pure attack power, he had already reached immortality level 6. Even an immortality level 6 elite would not dare to take such a terrifying attack head-on, let alone a level 6 treasure will enchantment. Xing Hui tore apart the treasure will enchantment with a single strike of his sword. He flew out like a kunpeng spreading its wings. In an instant, he was in front of heavenly treasure. The intense friction between the sword and the air caused dazzling sparks to burst out. At the end of the sparks, a golden crow let out a long cry, exuding a suffocating destructive aura. Before the sword arrived, the terrifying aura from the golden crow had already filled heavenly treasure. The level 4 defensive armor on his body spontaneously combusted. He could not help but cry out in pain as the flames burned him. Stop! Seeing that heavenly treasure would be killed by Xing Hui, Ling Yu did not care about anything else. She roared and activated the divine skill. A majestic and terrifying power burst out from her body, allowing her to break through the barrier of divine chi integration and reach the peak of Green Netherworld Realm. Although the Green Netherworld Realm with the help of the divine skill was slightly weaker than a real Green Netherworld Realm elite, as Jin Ling's sword slashed down, a sharpness that could cut through the void tore through space. Even the golden crow shadow that appeared behind Xing Hui was torn in half, much less an ordinary cultivator. Feeling the terrifying sharpness behind him that tore through space, Xing Hui frowned. He had no intention of dodging. The golden crow sword in his hand exploded into a terrifying golden crow that devoured heavenly treasure. Even though heavenly treasure had many defensive treasures on him, he could only let out a shrill cry in the face of the attack that was equivalent to an immortality level 6 elite's attack. He was burned to ashes by the golden crow in a violent explosion. Bastard! Die! While heavenly treasure was being devoured by the golden crow, Ling Yu's furious sword that tore through space struck Xing Hui's body. The moment the tip of the sword touched him, the gang chi on the surface of Xing Hui's body emitted dazzling sparks, dissipating 90% of the sharpness that tore through space. Although the remaining 10% tore through Xing Hui's gang chi and struck his body, it did not cause any substantial damage to him other than leaving a sword mark on his body. Ling Yu's pupils shrank at this sudden turn of events. This is, bang! While Ling Yu was stunned, Xing Hui's golden crow's sword turned around and struck the thin sword in Ling Yu's hand. For a moment, the thin sword in Ling Yu's hand emitted dazzling sparks as if it had been hit by a cannonball. Given Ling Yu's status, this thin sword was naturally not an ordinary item. Its grade was the same as Xing Hui's Crimson Dragon Sword, which was a superior grade 5th stage divine weapon. However, this superior grade 5th stage divine weapon was small and could significantly increase one's attack and sword speed. Its quality was not very good. As it clashed with Xing Hui's golden crow sword, a crack appeared on it, and a large amount of debris flew out. My void fragmentation sword. A trace of pain flashed across Ling Yu's eyes as she hurriedly retreated. However, how could Xing Hui, who had sensed Ling Yu's weakness, let go of it so easily? The sword vibrated as he charged forward again. His third stage sword Dao talent had allowed his understanding of sword techniques to reach the peak of perfection. As he swung his sword, the scorching heat wave and the golden crow's shadow on the tip of the sword sealed off all of Ling Yu's escape routes. She had no choice but to counterattack. However, once she counterattacked, bang! As sparks flew, the void fragmentation sword in Ling Yu's hand, which had a crack on it, suddenly shattered. Half of the sword flew out, and the scorching heatwave that followed behind it twisted it into an unknown location. Ling Yu's heart trembled. When she saw how Qing Su's attack was right behind her, she gritted her teeth and directly leapt up. She actually left his range of attack in a single instance and shot off on her sword. The entire process was as smooth as flowing water and extremely decisive. Ling Yu had awakened the bloodline of the Golden Rock, which was one of the sacred beasts. However, she had been crippled when she was in the Gang Qi realm and only cultivated spirit-grade Gang Qi. Even so, she still had a unique advantage when it came to flying. Moreover, she had a superior grade 5th stage flying sword. As soon as she left Xing Hui's attack range, she immediately burst forth with a speed that far exceeded Xing Hui's imagination. In the blink of an eye, she had broken through the clouds and disappeared from his sight. Her speed was almost twice as fast as when he was flying the green profound sword. I can't catch up. With just a glance, Xing Hui had already grasped the absolute difference in speed between the two of them. Shaking his head, he turned his gaze to Dragon Shadow. Dragon Shadow was already pale with fright when he saw Ling Yu flee, but when he sensed Xing Hui's gaze, he retreated without hesitation. At the same time, he summoned his flying sword and prepared to flee on it. But just as he was about to take off, Madame Dogwood's soul-sucking bell rang. The mental assault immediately made Dragon Shadow dizzy, and he nearly fell over on his flying sword. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Xing Hui took a step forward and soared into the air. At the same time, the golden crow pressed forward with a suffocating heatwave. Before he even drew his sword, the majestic power of the sun had already incinerated Dragon Shadow's Gang Qi. Dragon Shadow's eyes flashed with despair when he sensed Xing Hui's invincible and terrifying aura. He was well aware of the consequences if he, a son of chaos, fell into the hands of another son of chaos. Over the years, he had captured dozens of sons of chaos and forced them to use their primal chaos arts. Not a single one of them had come to a good end, and many of them had even suffered a fate worse than death. More than once, he had told himself that if he really were in such a situation, he would not hesitate to commit suicide so that he would not be left with no choice but to beg for death. But, now that he was about to be captured by Xing Hui and had no choice but to commit suicide, he couldn't help but feel pain and hesitation. Suicide? What kind of courage did this require? In this moment of delay, Xing Hui had already sent a stream of golden crow true energy into Dragon Shadow's body, completely destroying his meridians and true energy. For a moment, Dragon Shadow's face turned ghastly pale. He knew that in his current state, even suicide was an extravagant hope. Before he could continue wallowing in self-pity, he felt a sharp pain in his head, and darkness engulfed him. Island Master, seeing that Xing Hui had captured Dragon Shadow alive, Yun Tao and Dan Tating stepped forward, guilt flashing in their eyes. Although the two of them had cultivated to the stage of divine Qi unification, they were of no use in a battle of this level. Any one of Dragon Shadow, Celestial Treasure, or Ling Yu could easily injure them, especially Ling Yu who had used her divine art. She was unbelievably powerful. If not for Xing Hui holding her back, she could have killed the two of them in a few breaths of time. All right, bring them back, Xing Hui said. He had brought Yun Tao and Dan Tating with him, not expecting them to be of any help. It was just a precaution. Unfortunately, one of them got away. Xing Hui glanced in the direction that Ling Yu had left a hint of regret in his voice. Between Dragon Shadow and Ling Yu was obviously the leader. Although he had captured Dragon Shadow alive, the real treasures were probably with Ling Yu. That one is a 10th level son of chaos, and she has reached the peak of the stage of divine Qi unification. It's too difficult to capture her alive. Moreover, she has an upper 5th level flying sword. If she wants to escape, even an immortality stage 6 or prominent divine stage expert may not be able to do anything to her. Madame Dogwood said. Xing Hui nodded. In terms of value, an upper 5th level flying sword was comparable to a middle 6th level or even an upper 6th level divine weapon. Lingyu had obviously spent a lot of time in the gray area and was worried that something would happen to her, so she did not hesitate to exchange for an upper 5th level flying sword. In this way, even if she really fell, few people could stop her if she wanted to escape. Xing Hui went to where Celestial Treasure's corpse was and quickly found a treasure wheel. This treasure wheel was the item that activated the treasure wheel barrier. It was the only treasure left on Celestial Treasure's body. As for the others, they had all been destroyed by Xing Hui's sword. However, there was a crack on this treasure wheel. If it could not be repaired, this treasure could only be used 3 or 4 more times before it was completely destroyed. This is a good item. If Lingyu dares to come again, this item will make it impossible for her to return. Xing Hui put the treasure wheel into his personal space, Dan-tating, "I'll leave the aftermath to you." Tan Tai Ting glanced at the group of people who were trembling outside the ruins of the inn and nodded. Xing Hui, Yun Tao, and Madame Dogwood immediately brought Dragon Shadow back to the Zhanlong City Lord Mansion. Once they arrived, Xing Hui immediately ordered, "Tell Yan Huang to come see me." The guards who received the order retreated. In less than half an incense's time, Yan Huang hurried over. In the past few months, under Xing Hui's unstinting resources, he had already cultivated his true qi. Although it was not worth mentioning in Zhanlong Island, as a rank 8 son of primal chaos, his potential was much higher than any spirit-refining cultivator in Zhanlong Island. Even Dan Tating, Dan Taiying, and Wuyu could not be compared to Yan Huang in terms of potential. "Yan Huang, I'll leave this person to you. I need all the treasures in his personal space and his primal chaos technique." Xing Hui pointed at Dragon Shadow who was carried by Yun Tao. Seeing this person, Yan Huang's eyes widened. Hatred flashed in his eyes, "Dragon Shadow." After saying that, he seemed to remember the few days when he was captured by Dragon Shadow. His eyes suddenly became cruel. "Island Lord, please rest assured. This subordinate will definitely force out all the secrets on him. Go." Chapter 161. After leaving Dragon Shadow's matter to Yan Huang, Xing Hui arrived at the Primal Chaos Temple's Sky Dome realm. For the time being, he had no plans to obtain Yuan spirit qi. He could only place his hopes on other treasures in the Sky Dome realm, hoping to buy a treasure that could protect his soul and deal with the sword intent on the mysterious stone pillar of the 10,000 Swords Mountain. Pak Hui. Not long after arriving in the Sky Dome realm, Xing Hui heard Nalan Fei's voice. "Qing Yu. You have to be careful. The Hunyuan Heaven Sect, the Limitless Sword Sect, the Green Lotus Sword Sect, the Jin Wu Religion, and the Fortune Creation Mysterious Gate have already begun their sweep. 3 days ago, many of the sect's true disciples and elders swarmed into the sea. I'm afraid you'll receive the news in a few days. Although the large sects are focused on Alioth Sea City, which is 40,000 kilometers away from your dragon-slaying island, you can't be careless. You have to be on guard against people who might leave the main group and attack other forces." Nalan Fei said. "I understand." Xing Hui nodded. "Has there been any movement from the Sky Origin Peak Lord?" "The Sky Origin Peak Lord has also joined the sweep, but there hasn't been any abnormalities for the time being. If there are any abnormalities, I'll immediately send a message to you." At this point, Nalan Fei paused for a moment. "However, you have to be careful. Don't completely rely on my information. Based on some small details, the Sky Origin Peak Lord has already set his eyes on you. He has excluded me from his inner circle." Oh. Nalan Fei was a spirit-refining cultivator who had cultivated holy-grade aura qi. Moreover, her aura qi had reached large success during this period of time. Her battle prowess was so strong that she could even fight against ordinary spirit and qi unity realm cultivators. Even if she was not ranked in the top 10 of the forces that the Sky Origin Peak Master secretly controlled, she was not far from it. If the Sky Origin Peak Master really wanted to make a big move, it was impossible for him not to bring along such an expert. Currently, he had excluded Naylan Fei from his inner circle. Clearly, he was guarding against her secretly informing him. It seemed that the Sky Origin Peak Lord really suspected him. Is Peak Lord Void Origin a son of Chaos? Of course. Fortunately, his primal chaos level isn't very high, only rank 8. Even so, among the many Peak Masters, Peak Master Yuan is one of the most promising candidates for the Deputy Sect Master position. It was because of his potential that I decided to join him when I first joined the Hunyuan Heaven Sect. A rank 8 Son of Chaos, as long as a Son of Chaos wasn't at level 10, the threat he posed would be one level lower. Although Peak Lord Void Origin isn't a rank 10 Son of Chaos, he has cultivated holy grade cosmic chi and stepped into the spirit chi unity stage with it as his foundation. Moreover, he awakened the bloodline of the divine beast Kunpeng when he was in the awakening stage. Although it was very difficult to awaken it, and it fell to the holy grade when he was in the true chi stage, he still has the bloodline of a divine beast as his foundation. It's fiercer than ordinary holy grade cosmic chi. Naylan Fei smiled faintly. We should be thankful that he hasn't cultivated divine grade cosmic chi. Otherwise, a Peak Master who stepped into the Spirit Chi Unity stage with divine grade cosmic chi as his foundation would be promoted to the Deputy Sect Master position without any suspense. Take our Hunyuan Heaven Sect Son of Primordial Chaos Jia Su for example. The moment he cultivated divine grade cosmic chi, he was appointed as one of the candidates for the Deputy Sect Master position. When he reached the Spirit Chi Unity stage, an exception was made for him to enjoy the treatment of Deputy Sect Master. Xing Hui nodded. The Hunyuan Heaven Sect Son of Primordial Chaos, the Golden Crow Sect Saint and Saintess, the Fortune Creation Sect Son of Fortune, the Wuji Sword Sect Wuji Sword Servant, and the Green Lotus Sword Sect 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 Son of Primordial Chaos and so on. Take Jia Su, the Son of Primordial Chaos, for example. Although his cultivation base was only at the Spirit Chi Unison stage, he could order the Primordial Chaos Heaven Sect's Palace Master to do things based on his treatment as the Deputy Sect Master and his powerful cultivation base. Even the Supreme Elder, who stood at the peak of the Immortality stage level 6, would give him face for some small matters. Peak of Unity of Spirit and Chi, large success of Saint Grade Stellar Energy, Xing Hui pondered for a while. The Void Origin Peak Master's threat level might not be as high as Ling Yu's, but if he really set his sights on Zhou Yuan, the experts he would bring with him would not be as simple as Ling Yu's Dragon Shadow and Heavenly Treasure. He had to be prepared for a Palace Master level expert to accompany him. Xing Hui, I told you to do your best to collect sea maps near the outer sea. Have you collected any? If you do, I suggest that you hide in an area near the outer sea for a while. Sea maps have always been the foundation of every faction's survival. The ferocious beasts in the sea are their trump cards against the 10 sacred sects, so they won't easily sell them. So far, the sea maps I've bought have only advanced 10,000 kilometers toward the outer sea. There are still 40 to 50,000 kilometers without a map to refer to. You have to do this as soon as possible. Otherwise, if the Hunyuan Heaven Sect learns that you've learned the Chaos Whole Sutra, the consequences will be unimaginable. Even if you join Celestial Dome, they won't let this matter rest. Jianing. Naylan Fei nodded. Now that the Hunyuan Heaven Sect has joined Jianing, they're no longer as wary of Celestial Dome as before. I understand. A cold light flashed in Xing Hui's eyes. What if I kill the Sky Origin Peak Master? It's useless. If you kill the Sky Origin Peak Master, someone from the Hunyuan Heaven Sect will definitely want to take back the Chaos Whole Sutra. If they can't find the Chaos Whole Sutra, they'll naturally think of you. Besides, Peak Master disciples are the core of a sect and are far more powerful than ordinary true disciples. If such a person is killed, it'll be tantamount to provoking the entire Hunyuan Heaven Sect. The consequences will be unimaginable. Even if you're at the 6th layer of the immortality stage, there's no chance of reconciliation. Xing Hui frowned and didn't say anything else. You can only think of a way to deceive the Sky Origin Peak Master and make him believe that the Chaos Whole Sutra isn't in your hands. If you can't deceive him, you can only retreat and go to the outer sea. I'll consider it. Nalan Fei nodded and sighed. She didn't know what to do either. In the end, she could only console him. I'll do my best to pay attention to the Sky Origin Peak Master's whereabouts. If he really goes to your dragon-slaying island, I'll immediately send you a message. Thank you. Xing Hui said as he watched Nalan Fei leave. After Nalan Fei left, Xing Hui frowned. For a time, there was nothing he could do. Although he was doing very well in the overseas region, and even the Spirit and Chi Unity stage experts on the Divine Dragon list were nothing in his eyes, his so-called overlord of the overseas region was ultimately too insignificant in front of a colossus like the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Your Excellency Pak Hui. Not long after Xing Hui left the Sky Dome realm, a somewhat unexpected voice rang out. Xing Hui glanced over. It was the Dawn member with whom he had cooperated before, Feng Hui. Your Excellency Feng Hui. I haven't seen Your Excellency Pak Hui recently. I wonder what she's busy with. Just some trivial matters. By the way, Your Excellency Pak Hui, Leader Ling Yu is going to organize a large-scale trade with merchants from the Heavenly First Treasure Pavilion. The Heavenly First Treasure Pavilion is one of the most reputable chambers of commerce. They're famous in the entire Chaos Divine Palace. As long as we have Taoist rhymes, we'll definitely be able to exchange them for treasures. We've worked together before. Do you want to join us this time? Heavenly First Treasure Pavilion. Xing Hui had naturally heard of the Heavenly First Treasure Pavilion. They were indeed very reputable. There was almost no news of them bullying others. However, not long ago, he had just exposed Ling Yu's identity. At this juncture, Ling Yu was actually organizing a trade with the Heavenly First Treasure Pavilion. Did she think that Dawn's true identity would soon be exposed if they continued to maintain it? Was she planning to go crazy for the last time? When did this happen? Where's the trade location? It's a bit rushed. It's going to start in a month. The preliminary trade location is at the Blazing Mountain. A month? The Blazing Mountain. The Blazing Mountain was a mountain range near the Jin Wu religion's headquarters. It definitely wasn't a good place to trade. Furthermore, it was only a month. Many people won't be able to gather enough treasures in a month. Some people who are far away won't even be able to make it, right? Exactly. However, we have to follow the news of the Heavenly First Treasure Pavilion merchant. We can't let the Heavenly First Treasure Pavilion merchant wait for us, right? Although time is a bit tight and not everyone will be able to make it, we can only count on how many people come. After hearing this, Xing Hui was almost certain that this was Ling Yu's last act of madness before disbanding Dawn. He cautiously said, Feng Hui, if you trust me, it's best that you don't participate in this trade. You can also tell Bai Hai and the others. This time, there's a high chance that something will go wrong. Feng Hui frowned and looked at Xing Hui. The Heavenly First Treasure Pavilion is one of the most reputable chambers of commerce in the Chaos Divine Palace. What could go wrong? That's all I have to say. It's up to you whether you believe me or not. Goodbye. Xing Hui clasped his hands and didn't say anything else. Ling Yu had a good reputation in Dawn. Even if he exposed Ling Yu's true identity as someone who had joined Dawn for less than 3 years, no one would believe him. If Ling Yu made a false accusation, he would be the one asking for trouble. Feng Hui watched Xing Hui leave and frowned. In the end, he shook his head and tossed Xing Hui's words to the back of his mind. It was rare for a merchant from the Heavenly First Treasure Pavilion to come to the Eastern Wasteland. Whether or not he could exchange for a rank 4 or even a rank 5 divine weapon depended on this. He definitely couldn't miss this opportunity. 1 month, the blazing mountain. Xing Hui quickly left the Chaos Divine Palace and returned to his room. When I fought with Ling Yu, I used the Great Sun Golden Crow technique. I'm obviously not a member of the Jin Wu religion, so my Great Sun Golden Crow technique was obviously stolen. If I appear in the Jin Wu religion's territory and Ling Yu reports this to the Jin Wu religion, I'll definitely die. Under these circumstances, as long as I have a bit of rationality, I won't dare to casually step into the blazing mountain. No one will believe my words, and I don't dare to cause trouble in the blazing mountain. This is why Ling Yu set up the trade at the blazing mountain. Xing Hui quickly understood Ling Yu's plan. However, the Jin Wu religion. He might be afraid of the experts from the other sects, but, with the Yang devouring orb, he wasn't afraid of the experts from the Jin Wu religion. Chapter 162. Island Master, we've interrogated the items in Dragon Shadow's personal space and his chaos incantation. Early the next morning, Yan Huang arrived outside Xing Hui's room. Compared to before, his mental state had improved significantly. Clearly, he felt much more at ease now that he had gotten his revenge. Oh. Did you find anything? Dragon Shadow's personal space contains more items than we expected. Moreover, this subordinate accidentally discovered that the 10,000 supreme-grade fire spirit stones that belong to you are all in Dragon Shadow's personal space. Yan Huang's words startled Xing Hui. Those supreme-grade fire spirit stones are in Dragon Shadow's personal space. A moment later, Xing Hui seemed to have thought of something. In order to make things more convenient, Ling Yu had offered up her personal space as a base for communication in Dawn. However, a Tier 1 personal space wasn't very big. Even if Ling Yu used it to its fullest extent, it was only equivalent to a 3-story building with 100 square meters per floor. With such a small personal space, and with so many people coming and going, wouldn't his identity be exposed if someone saw him leaving his valuables inside? Under such circumstances, he might as well leave the supreme-grade fire spirit stones with Dragon Shadow and let him deal with them. Apart from these supreme-grade fire spirit stones, this subordinate also discovered 2 Dao-carrying items on Dragon Shadow. One of them contains 1 Dao-carrying rhyme, while the other contains 4 Dao-carrying rhyme. Oh. Xing Hui's eyes lit up. Dragon Shadow actually has a ready-made Dao-carrying item on him. A Dao-carrying item with 5 Dao-carrying rhyme. With these, he would have enough Dao-carrying rhyme to cultivate at the core of the Great Sun. Generally speaking, primordial chaos children who have their own ideas would keep 1 or 2 Dao-carrying items as backups in case they coincidentally encounter merchants who wander to this continent. These merchants who wander here with their true bodies are usually not restricted by the Chaos Temple's price. After all, the large organizations in the Chaos Temple might not know their identities in the Chaos Temple. Even if they wanted to punish them, they wouldn't be able to do so. Xing Hui nodded. At the same time, he felt a little strange. This Dragon Shadow is very tactful. He only lasted for a day and he actually revealed all the chaos incantations. This, Yan Huang said somewhat uneasily, actually, in less than the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, Dragon Shadow had already told me everything he knew. This subordinate only interrogated him for another day to ensure that he wasn't hiding anything. Less than 1 incense stick's worth of time, Xing Hui was slightly startled, but he soon understood something. Dragon Shadow's job was to constantly capture sons of chaos alive and force them to reveal the secrets of the chaos arts they possessed. He knew very well what would happen to him if he fell into the hands of another son of chaos. To prevent himself from being tortured to the point where he couldn't even beg for death, he was much more willing than the other sons of chaos. As for what Blazing Huang said about the interrogation that would follow for the entire day, most likely, he was using his position to avenge a personal grudge. Those supreme-grade fire spirit stones need to be exchanged for fire spirit crystals. After some time, I'll need to make a trip to the inner lands. I'll personally bring these supreme-grade fire spirit stones to the inner lands to find a place to exchange them. Prepare these items well. After saying that, Xing Hui seemed to have thought of something. We also found a lot of good stuff from Wenyu, He Yen, and the others. Organize these things properly for me. When the time comes, I will go inland and sell them. Yes. Blazing Huang acknowledged and quickly retreated. Now that Xing Hui had occupied Dragon Beheading Island, all the higher-ups of Dragon Beheading Island moved out at once. In less than 3 days, many items were prepared and stored in Xing Hui's personal space, which had been upgraded to the second level. The second-level personal space had a 3-dimensional space of 100 meters, so it was easy to store a bunch of items. As there was still some time before the Blazing Flame Mountain gathering, Xing Hui wasn't in a hurry. After packing up, he left Dragon Beheading Island and arrived outside North Sea City. The moment he arrived at the lake outside North Sea City, the Xuanwu cub hiding in the lake seemed to sense his aura and quickly came out. It looked at Xing Hui with a fawning expression and shouted, "Master, Master, can we go into the sea now? Before confirming whether or not to go into the sea, I need you to answer some questions for me. Since your sister is the overlord of this sea and she went directly to the outer seas, does she have a sea map that leads to the outer seas in her cave?" "Sea map? Master, you mean a map?" "Yes, yes, yes. Of course she has it. Not only does she have a sea map, but she also has godly weapons and heavenly treasures. Master, as long as you follow me to kill the Hydra, I promise you that you will have everything you want. You will be able to eat and drink well, and I promise you that you will enjoy it for the rest of your life." Xing Hui's expression turned cold. "Stop talking nonsense. If you still want to stay in this small lake, then continue to talk about other things. I only want an accurate answer." The black tortoise cub once again revealed an innocent and pure look as it said pitifully, "Master, you must believe me. I would never dare to lie to you. After all, my future is all in your hands. How would I have the guts to lie to you? As the overlord of this sea region, my sister naturally knows all the powerful neighbors around here like the back of her hand. Otherwise, what if she encounters a monster that she can't beat when she goes out to scavenge? Scrounge for money? This reason, Xing Hui believed it. Very good. Where is your sister's cave? Can you guarantee that the things in the cave haven't been taken by the Jiuying? When I escaped, I locked the cave. The defense of the cave was personally set up by Big Sister. It's not that I want to brag, but even if there were 10 more of those 9 small creatures, they wouldn't be able to open the cave that Big Sister set up in a short time. But in the end, weren't you expelled by the Hydra and forced to flee inland? You still want to seek protection from the humans?" The Xuanwu cub, who was originally in high spirits, suddenly lowered his voice and said weakly, This is a mistake. Regardless of whether it was a mistake or not, you've now become a stray dog, while 9-headed Hydra has occupied the ocean as the victor, becoming the overlord of a region. Moreover, he's constantly sending sea beasts to find your whereabouts, wanting to kill you. Humph. When I complete my evolution, it will be his time of death. That will take a few decades. Moreover, you can evolve, but can't the Hydra evolve? After a few decades, the Hydra will definitely break the cave your sister left behind and obtain the many treasures in the cave. Maybe it will evolve faster than you. At that time, when you have finally evolved to the 5th stage, the Hydra will have already evolved to the 6th stage, or even entered the mature stage and become a true sacred beast. At that time, you will still be seeking your own death. Master, can't you give me a little encouragement and comfort my hurt heart? The Xuanwu cub looked at Xing Hui with grievance. Okay, answer my question. Where is your sister's cave? Also, do you have a way to lure the Hydra to the coast? My sister's cave is about a kilometer below a small island. As for luring the Hydra is very timid. Even if I am a cub, it may not dare to come ashore. At most, it will send its subordinates to kill me. Once it feels that it can't deal with me, it will definitely escape immediately. Xing Hui frowned. This Jiuying really gave off a feeling of impenetrability. It's impossible for humans to be a match for sea beasts in the ocean. With the help of the ocean environment, a fourth-order sea beast even dares to provoke a sixth-order human and is about to fight the nine-headed snakelet at the bottom of the sea. I'll definitely die. Therefore, I'll give you two choices. Either you think of a way to lure the nine-headed snakelet to the shore, and I'll think of a way to kill it for you. Then, we'll split the treasures in your sister's cave equally. Or, you can wait until the nine-headed snakelet opens your sister's cave one day and becomes a holy beast before you. Wu, master is inhumane. I am so pitiful. Seeing the Hunyuan cub start to complain, Xing Hui did not hesitate to turn around and leave. Almost at the moment he turned around, the crying stopped abruptly, and a voice full of determination followed, "Hero, please wait." Xing Hui turned around. The Hunyuan cub had completely put away its pitiful and aggrieved appearance, and its extremely human-like face was full of sadness. "Since you have already said so, then no matter what, I can only risk my life to accompany you, lest the world look down on the courage of the Hunyuan bloodline." Xing Hui looked at the serious Hunyuan cub, and had a strong impulse to kill it and refine its blood essence. After a while, he forcibly suppressed this thought. "I will give you half a month to prepare." Half a month later, at the estuary of the Longyin River outside North Sea City, I will help you kill the Jiuying. If you are unable to lure it over, then from now on, don't ask me to help you take back your cave. Please rest assured, hero. Even if I have to sacrifice this old life of mine, I will definitely not let you down. Swoosh. Xing Hui's figure flashed, and directly disappeared without a trace. It is time to settle the score with the Hydra. Half a month later, I and the Hydra will decide who is the true overlord of this sea. The Hunyuan cub said in a low voice, its face full of seriousness as if a great battle was about to break out. The Jiuying was able to defeat the other rank 5 sea monsters in the sea and become the overlord of this sea. Its cultivation level was definitely not as simple as a rank 5 holy beast. It was very likely to be a peak rank 5 holy beast. Such a sea monster, in terms of combat power, would not be inferior to an ordinary rank 6 immortality stage prominent divine stage. Even if it went ashore and its strength weakened, it would probably be above the so-called Shakyamuni and Palace Masters. To deal with such a terrifying sea monster, Xing Hui had no choice but to put in 120% of his effort. Fortunately, he was no longer alone. He had the entire dragon-slaying island as his backing. As he let the Hunyuan cub set the battlefield at the estuary of the Longyin River, the resources of the dragon-slaying island were immediately transported to the sea breeze fortress that guarded the Longyin River. At the same time, the 6 elemental destruction cannons that had been placed on the dragon-slaying island city wall were removed. 3 of them were installed on the 3 battleships, and the other 3 were placed on the sea breeze fortress's city wall. The elemental destruction cannon was a war machine that was even more terrifying than the elemental destruction cannon. It was a weapon that was specially developed by the master of weapon refinery for large-scale wars. At its highest level, it could launch an attack that was equivalent to an immortality stage level 6 immortality stage powerhouse's full attack. The only downside was that the charging speed was a little slow. Under the situation where no one was fighting with the target, the hit rate was less than 10%. After all the preparations were done, more than 10 days had passed. When the cooldown of the divine skill was restored, Xing Hui immediately set off to the sea breeze fortress. Everything was ready, and he was only waiting for the Hunyuan cub to lure the Jiuying over. Chapter 163. Island Master, the Sea Breeze Stronghold is ready. Island Master, the 3 reinforced warships are already in place. The chassis can withstand the recoil of the elemental cannon. They are only waiting for the Island Master's order to take off. A large amount of sand and stones have been prepared at the mouth of the Dragon Chant River. The upstream dam has already reduced the amount of water discharged. All residents within a 50-kilometer radius have been relocated. Be prepared to seal off the Dragon Chant River at any time. Streams of information came in from all directions and gathered in front of Tsinghui, making preparations for the upcoming battle. Everything was ready. They were only waiting for Xuanwu's message. The cub Xuanwu didn't make him wait for too long. On this day, the sea was clearly no longer calm. Wave after wave crashed against the coastline where the sea breeze stronghold was located, setting off huge waves that were more than 10 meters high. When the huge waves lasted for about an hour, the Xuanwu imprint on Tsinghui's arm suddenly transmitted the voice of Xuanwu's cub, "I'm coming, master, I'm coming. Too miserable, too miserable. In order to lure out the Jiuying, I've been living an inhumane life for the past few days. Master, did you know that in the past few days, I've been sleeping later than dogs and waking up earlier than chickens, all the time?" Tsinghui directly blocked the voice of Xuanwu's cub. Standing on top of the sea breeze stronghold city wall, he raised his eyes and looked in the direction of the coastline in the distance. From there, he could clearly see a layer of waves rapidly rushing towards the sea breeze stronghold. Within those waves, who knew how many powerful sea beasts were lurking? "Everyone! Get ready!" Tsinghui said to Dan Tating, Dan Taiying, Madame Zhu Yu, Yun Tao, and the others behind him, "Remember, that Xuanwu cub is my pet. You can't attack it. Now, the 6 elemental cannons, start charging and raise the power to the maximum. Don't worry about the energy consumption. When the 6 elemental cannons are charging at full speed, Madame Zhu Yu, Yun Tao, Dan Tating, and I will go and entangle the Jiuying. We must kill the Jiuying in one blow. Otherwise, when he senses the danger and escapes into the sea, only destruction awaits our dragon-slaying island. Do you understand?" "Understood." Dan Tating, Dan Taiying, Madame Zhu Yu, Yun Tao, and the others solemnly responded at the same time. After Jiuying replaced the Xuanwu sacred beast as the overlord of the sea, he had already taken all the ordinary sea beasts and sea beasts in the sea as his own. These sea beasts might not be much of a threat individually, but once they gathered together and used their innate ability to trigger a tsunami, they would definitely be able to drown half of Dragon-slaying Island in the sea. Therefore, when Tsinghui said that if Jiuying escaped into the sea carelessly, Dragon-slaying Island would be destroyed, he wasn't exaggerating. The warships take off and the cannons start charging. Dan Taiying will be in charge of commanding. Yun Tao and Dan Tating will protect Madame Zhu Yu. The few of us will set up an ambush at the mouth of the Dragon Chant River. Once Jiuying enters the Dragon Chant River, we will immediately start charging at full speed. It will take about 10 breaths of time for the Elemental Annihilation Cannon to finish charging at full speed. When it's charging at full speed, it will release a vast amount of energy fluctuations. Jiuying will definitely be able to sense it and will definitely try to escape into the sea when he realizes that his life is in danger. At that time, I will go and stop him. As for Madame Zhu Yu, you will use all your strength to activate the soul-sucking bell and cooperate with me. Understood? This subordinate understands. Madame Zhu Yu replied cautiously. Good. Let's go to the mouth of the river. Do everything you can to restrain your aura. Tsinghui gave the order and led the 3 Unity of Divine Qi experts straight to the mouth of the river. At this time, the waves stirred up by Jiuying were becoming more and more violent. Even the ordinary soldiers on the sea breeze fort could clearly see the white line at the end of the ocean. However, perhaps due to the lack of time, the waves were much smaller than the ones the sea breeze fort had faced before. Although the defenders on the sea breeze fort were nervous, they didn't lose their fighting spirit. Finally, the waves stirred up by the sea beasts reached the front of the sea breeze fort. The one running at the front was naturally the Xuanwu cub. In Tsinghui's impression, Xuanwu had always been slow. He never thought that this Xuanwu cub would be able to escape with such speed. It was truly an eye-opener for him. Master, save me. The Xuanwu cub, who had escaped into the Dragon Chant River, let out a mournful cry as if it was on the line between life and death. But in reality, Tsing Hui didn't find any particularly serious injuries on the Xuanwu cub. Since it wasn't dead, Tsing Hui couldn't be bothered to pay attention to it. At this time, many sea beasts appeared in front of Tsing Hui. The one at the front was a holy beast Jiuying, full of anger. Compared to the 4th level holy beast Jiuying from before, this Jiuying had completed its transformation and evolved into a true holy beast, just as Tsing Hui had guessed. However, it was still at the 5th level and its physique wasn't mature yet. Although it looked very powerful, it was still slightly inferior to a true holy beast Jiuying. "Get ready!" Tsing Hui shouted in a deep voice. Madame Zhu Yu, Yun Tao, and Dan Tating were suddenly nervous. A peak 5th level holy beast Jiuying's combat strength wasn't inferior to an immortal level 6 human expert. It was definitely an overlord in the relatively stable ocean. If it was in the past, the entire dragon-slaying island would be in danger of being destroyed when faced with such a terrifying sea beast. As for killing such an overlord in the ocean, it was even more unthinkable. However, today, under the leadership of Tsing Hui, they were planning to kill such a terrifying overlord. It was the first time that Dragon-Slaying Island's plan against the sea beasts had changed from defense to offense. Just thinking about it made their blood boil. Rumble. The 9-headed fierce beast swept up the monstrous waves and violently crashed into the mouth of the Dragon Chant River. Suddenly, a monstrous wave was created. Countless streams of water were splashed into the void and then fell down in all directions. On the other hand, Qing Su and the others who were hiding in the mouth of the river were directly drenched by the surging waves. However, they were all prepared beforehand. They stabilized themselves, so they were not swept away by the waves. Charge it at full speed. Seeing that Jiuying had already rushed thousands of meters into the Dragon Chant River, Dan Taiying, who was in the Sea Breeze Fortress, felt that the time was ripe, immediately ordered. Buzz buzz. Suddenly, 6 powerful waves of energy were released, spreading across the Sea Breeze Fortress and the 3 warships that were flying rapidly in the void. Sensing the powerful waves of energy, Jiuying's holy beast that had initially looked down on the humans in the Sea Breeze Fortress suddenly raised its 9 heads and roared angrily at the 3 warships and the Sea Breeze Fortress in the void. It seemed to be scolding the humans for ruining its plan. However, when the Sea Breeze Fortress and the battleships saw that the energy-destroying cannons' charging efficiency did not slow down and that the energy waves they emitted were getting stronger and stronger, even though the 9-headed fierce beast was unwilling to give up, it had no choice but to turn around in anger and flee towards the sea. However, although it had temporarily retreated due to its fear for its life, the many sea monsters that it had swept over had split into 3 groups. One of them continued to pursue the black tortoise cub, while the other 2 groups respectively pounced on the battleship in the void and the Sea Breeze Fortress. The leader of each group was a level 4 sea monster, and it seemed like they were going to completely uproot the human forces on Dragon-Slaying Island. Attack! Seeing that Jiuying wanted to escape into the sea, Tsing Hui let out a low roar and flew up on his sword. Like a stream of light, he shot towards the Jiuying. In the void, he had already activated the divine technique that had finished its cooldown. A shadow of a golden crow with a wingspan of more than 30 meters suddenly appeared behind him. It was like a blazing sun, emitting endless heat and light. Roar! Sensing the powerful energy contained in Tsing Hui's body in the 6 energy cannons that were charging, Jiuying suddenly became anxious. It continuously spat out flames and water pillars from its mouth, forming a powerful torrent that rushed towards Tsing Hui's body. However, Tsing Hui still had to slightly dodge the water pillars, but the flames that contained thousands of degrees of heat, buzz. As a layer of red light flashed on the surface of Tsing Hui's body, the terrifying flames that could melt gold and iron were directly absorbed by this layer of red light. It didn't cause any damage to Tsing Hui at all. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Tsing Hui directly charged towards Jiuying. The bright light that erupted from the Jin Wu religion was like a falling sun. As he waved his sword, it slashed towards Jiuying's body. Roar! Sensing the danger, Jiuying let out an angry roar, and a large amount of water and fire energy gathered in the void in front of it. However, before this power could gather to its limit, a crisp bell suddenly rang across the battlefield. Under the influence of this bell, Jiuying, a holy beast that wasn't good at spiritual cultivation, suddenly went into a trance. The water and fire energy that it had gathered was actually showing signs of dissipating. Xing Hui wouldn't let go of such a good opportunity. Slash! Rumble! As he slashed down with his sword, a terrifying torrent of energy completely erupted. It was as if a scorching sun had lit up in the void. The intense light was so dazzling that the ordinary people in Sea Breeze Fortress could barely open their eyes. The heat waves and shock waves that could burn the void continued to sweep in all directions, completely burning the water in the void into steam. At this time, if someone stepped into the range of 1,000 meters, they would definitely be instantly cooked by the terrifying steam and air. Even an awakening realm expert or a true chi expert would not be able to escape death. One slash of the sword was enough to kill all living things within 1,000 meters. He's so powerful. Compared to when he killed the Dragon Whale Island's owner, the current owner has become even more powerful. Even Jiuying, a holy beast that's comparable to an immortal level rank 6 human, dares to fight him head-on. Our dragon-slaying island has an expert like the owner of the island. How can we not prosper? If this mission is successful, the entire dragon-slaying island will probably become one of the biggest overseas forces since we've killed a peak-stage holy beast, Jiuying. We'll attract countless experts to join us. On the Sea Breeze Fortress, Dan Taiying and Dan Tai's second son, Dan Tai Eagle, who was originally in charge of guarding the fortress, widened their eyes at the same time. They were shocked as they stared at the scorching sun at the end of the sky. Roar! Jiuying's holy beast roared painfully in the scorching light. There was a hint of fear in its voice. It tried to break out of the encirclement, but it was blocked by Xing Hui. There was no way for it to escape at all. At this moment, a total of 6 elemental cannons on the 3 battleships and the Sea Breeze Fortress were finally fully charged. As 6 terrifying energy pillars pierced through the void, the holy beast Jiuying's huge body was instantly engulfed by the 6 torrents of energy. Chapter 164. Rumble. The earth rumbled. 6 elemental energy destroying cannons fired at the same time, which was equivalent to 6 immortal stage 6 powerhouses attacking with all their might. Although it could not be compared to the eternal blazing sun of the Jin Wu religion in terms of area of effect, its individual power was not below the eternal blazing Sunday light, and high heat completely flooded the dragon roaring river. In the burning waves, the sacred beast Jiuying let out a painful scream. Large amounts of blood dripped from its huge body, and then it frantically rushed towards the sea. It knew very well that only by diving into the depths of the sea could it truly be called an overlord. If it continued to fight in such a restrictive environment like the dragon roaring river, only death would await it. However, Xing Hui had spent so much effort to kill it, so how could he be willing to watch it escape? Looking at the huge sacred beast with 3 huge holes in its body and 2 of its heads missing, Xing Hui took a deep breath. In the next moment, all the power in his body surged out like a torrent, pouring into the golden crow sword, and then detonating it with a secret technique, Sun Glory. Bang! In the void, it was as if a blazing sun had appeared. After the endless true chi was condensed to the extreme, it was continuously heated and detonated, forming a fission reaction. This caused the power of the sword, which originally only contained ordinary true chi, to be magnified several times, forming a destructive blow. In an instant, the sacred beast Jiuying's huge body was completely torn apart, and a bloody hole with a diameter of more than 10 meters quickly formed. Roar! Accompanied by a final mournful scream, the sacred beast Jiuying's aura rapidly weakened. Once again, it swept up the torrent and rushed forward for less than 500 meters. Finally, It howled and fell into the dragon-roaring river. Phew! Looking at the huge beast that finally fell, Tsing Hui, who had used up all the energy in his body, let out a long sigh. Clean up the mess. Tsing Hui did not have time to rest. Raising his sword, he quickly rushed towards the other level 4 sea beasts. Yun Tao, Madame Dogwood, Dan Tating, and the others followed closely behind. Although the scale of the waves this time wasn't as large as the previous one, the quality of the sea beasts was far superior to the one Sea Breeze Fort had encountered the last time. Not to mention third-order sea beasts, there were even 8 or 9 fourth-order sea beasts. However, with the death of Jiuying, these Type 4 sea beasts had lost their leader and had no intention of attacking. They quickly turned around and killed their way back along the river. With Tsing Hui, Yun Tao, Madame Dogwood, Dan Tating, and the others taking care of the 3 class 4 sea beasts, the rest of the sea beasts quickly fled into the ocean and disappeared without a trace. As soon as these sea beasts retreated, the crisis of Sea Breeze Fort was naturally resolved. Dan Tating, you're in charge of cleaning up the battlefield. Yun Tao will assist you. Madame Dogwood, come with me. Seeing the sea beasts retreat, Tsing Hui quickly gave orders to Dan Tating and the others. Yes. Dan Tating and the others complied and headed towards the corpses of the class 4 sea beasts. Each of these sea beasts' corpses could be considered a treasure. If the blood essence of these corpses could be refined and given to spirit refining cultivators with similar bloodlines, it would greatly shorten their cultivation time and allow them to cultivate to the peak of the spirit refining realm. After instructing Dan Tating and the others, Tsing Hui directly leapt up and flew on his sword. He caught up to the Hunyuan cub that was lying on the ground like a dead fish not far from Sea Breeze Fort. Lead the way immediately. Take advantage of the fact that the other class 5 sea beasts in this area still don't know about Jiuying's death. Go to your sister's cave and take out the sea map and anything that can help you evolve. I'm going to die, I'm going to die. Baobao's injuries are too heavy, I can't move, Tsing Hui frowned and directly slashed down. The blazing sword chi was like a whip that exploded on the Hunyuan cub's body, causing it to let out an exaggerated shrill cry. Do you believe that I won't turn you into a dead turtle? Lead the way immediately. Woo-woo, lead the way, I'll lead the way. Full of grievances, the Hunyuan cub immediately swam rapidly in the Dragon Cry River, heading straight for the depths of the sea. Tsing Hui still had the water-splitting pearl that Yan Huang had given him, so it wouldn't be a problem for him to bring Madame Zhu Yu to the depths of the sea. As for the Hunyuan cub, it was a sacred beast in the water. When it came to the ability to control water, there was almost no creature in the world that could compare to it. Sitting cross-legged on the Hunyuan cub, the group quickly traversed the sea and quickly overtook Jiuying's defeated troops. After rushing for 3 days, they arrived at an area with almost no signs of human habitation. Master, it's just ahead. As a small island with a diameter of less than 1 kilometer appeared in front of them, the Hunyuan cub immediately became excited. Master, let me tell you, Big Sister is the most powerful overlord in this area. Not to mention small monsters like the Hydra, even the rulers of the nearby seas have to give her good gifts every few years or decades to show their filial piety to her. There are all kinds of treasures in her cave. Master, you can definitely return with a full load. I hope so. With that, Tsing Hui dived into the depths of the sea with the Hunyuan cub on his back. As the former overlord of the seas, Jiuying had left behind a quasi-holy beast to personally guard the cave. This quasi-holy beast with Jiuying's bloodline was obviously its personal guard and was highly regarded by it, which was why it had been entrusted with such an important task. Unfortunately, although this Jiuying had Class 4 battle prowess, it was only at the early stage of Class 4. When Madame Zhu Yu summoned the soul-sucking bell and caused it to fall into a trance, the Hunyuan cub fiercely pounced on it and quickly killed the Jiuying, dyeing the seabed red with its blood. After killing the half-step holy beast Jiuying, the black tortoise spread its legs and impatiently arrived at the cave that had traces of life. Although Xuanwu holy beasts were not much inferior to humans in terms of intelligence, the cave they built didn't have the beauty that humans should have. It was almost like an underwater cave. At this time, the cave was in a sealed state, and a huge rock blocking the entrance flickered with a cold red light. Tsing Hui stared at the red light for a moment and couldn't help but feel his heart palpitate. Clearly, the danger behind the red light was enough to pose a fatal threat to him, who had cultivated his divine stellar energy to perfection. However, with the Xuanwu cub around, they clearly didn't need to forcibly break through the cave's defenses. As the Xuanwu cub didn't know how to control it, the huge rock flickered with red light and a 5-meter-tall entrance quickly appeared. Okay, it's open. The black tortoise impatiently swam into the cave dwelling. Its expression was filled with excitement. Sister left me a lot of water spirit essences and told me to eat them slowly. Save them and don't waste them. I'm so pitiful now that I'm in a life and death crisis. I can finish all the water spirit essences in one go, right? Even if Big Sis comes back and asks, Bao Bao will have enough reasons. There's no danger in the cave, right? Tsing Hui followed the Xuanwu cub into the cave. No. Big Sis was afraid that I would run around, so she didn't set up any traps in the cave. The most powerful trap is at the entrance. She left a drop of essence blood clone at the entrance. If it's attacked, it will manifest Big Sis image and kill the enemy. A drop of essence blood? Tsing Hui was alarmed. Tsing Hui had guessed that the Xuanwu cub's big sister was at least rank 7, and the essence blood clone of a rank 7 divine beast was no weaker than a rank 6 divine beast. And a rank 6 divine beast in an underwater environment, even a saint-level expert would have to nurse a grievance if they came here, right? Tsing Hui's eyes brightened at this thought. What was the point of looking for a map to the outer sea? This cave abode was the safest place to hide. What was the point of looking for a map to the outer sea? This cave abode was the safest place to hide. Madame Zhuyu, guard the entrance in case any sea beasts try to barge in. Tsing Hui ordered. Yes. Madame Zhuyu answered respectfully. Master, don't be so polite. Treat this as your own home. Just take whatever you like. I'm very generous. I'll give it to you. The Xuanwu cub led the way and spoke like an old man. As he spoke, he emphasized the word generous. Obviously, he was complaining that Tsing Hui was harsh and stingy to him. You're not young in terms of age. Why do you call yourself baby? Didn't your big sister give you a name? Tsing Hui couldn't be bothered to pay attention to the Xuanwu cub, but he couldn't help but ask. She did. My name is Hao Ming. Hao as in heaven and earth, Ming as in the underworld. It means that in the future, I'll be able to go anywhere. How is it? Domineering, right? Good. From now on, you'll call yourself by your name. Tsing Hui made the final decision. Why? I'm still young, it's settled then. Now, let's see what treasures are in this cave that you've been bragging about. After Tsing Hui finished speaking, he didn't give the Xuanwu cub a chance to object. He walked past him and went into the depths of the cave. Sacred beasts were not inferior to humans in terms of intelligence. They had their own unique civilization. The layout of the cave was not simple and violent like that of ordinary beasts and sea beasts. They could live in just by digging a hole. The entire cave was divided into several rooms, or rather, caves. Tsing Hui went to the first room based on the principle of being closest. What entered his eyes was a large number of shiny gems and minerals. However, Qin Su rummaged through it carefully, and his face immediately sank. These minerals and gems were mainly gems. If they were in the mortal world, they would be priceless and could be exchanged for large amounts of gold and silver. However, to Tsing Hui, they were useless. After rummaging for a while, he found 3 5th-grade materials and 1 6th-grade material. This could be considered as a slight comfort to his wounded heart. After leaving this room, Xinghui quickly came to another room. In this room, there were also all kinds of strange things. There were corals, rocks, minerals, and even some ornaments made by mortals. Xinghui suppressed the disappointment in his heart. He picked the tallest things out of the shortest, and found 6 fourth-grade materials and 2 fifth-grade materials. There were a total of 6 rooms. He had already excavated 2 of them, and his harvest was very little. As for the next 4 rooms, he had an ominous premonition in his heart. Could it be that after mobilizing so many people to kill a 5th-grade sacred beast, Jiuying only got a few consolation prizes in the end? Sure enough, to have such an unreliable younger brother, that overlord of the sea is obviously not that reliable. I should have thought of this earlier. Xinghui took a deep breath and prepared himself for disappointment. He turned and went to the 3rd room again. However, when he really came to the 3rd room and saw the many items placed in the room, his eyes lit up with joy. These. Chapter 165. There were no gems or treasures in the room, but there were a large number of skeletons. Yes, skeletons. These skeletons were the spoils of war left behind by the sacred beast Xuanwu when it was conquering the sea. None of the spoils of war that it had purposely left behind and collected could be considered mediocre. Qing Su glanced over. Judging from the bones, he arrived at a conclusion very soon. There were a total of 6 skeletons here. 3 of them were relatively well preserved, while the other 3 were damaged. However, without any exception, they were all Class 7 vicious beasts. 7th-level ferocious beasts and sea beasts were top-notch materials in the entire eastern wasteland. If these materials were sold to alchemists, and blacksmiths, they would definitely be able to create 5th-level or even 6th-level pills and weapons. Now that he had obtained the corpse of a Class 7 vicious beast from 6 blessings, his trip to Green Ruins could be said to have not been in vain. Very good. With a smile on his face, Xinghui could not wait to put all these things into his personal space. With enough harvest, Xinghui's mood was obviously better. He turned and walked to the 4th room. The room, or in other words, the cave, seemed extremely messy. Various miscellaneous items were placed everywhere, without any order at all. Moreover, Qing Su did not see anything valuable with a single glance. Master. This is baby. This is Hao Ming's bedroom. Please respect my privacy. Xinghui looked here for a moment. Xuanwu cub Hao Ming ran in and blocked Xinghui's way. Xinghui glanced and saw that there was indeed nothing valuable. He then turned and walked to the 5th room. Did you find the water spirit essence? Found it. It's all in my sister's room. Although it hid these things well, I already knew where it hid them. I was just afraid of being punished, so I didn't dare to take them out secretly. Now that it's gone, I can eat as much as I want. Is that so? You should be able to feel that the number of masters around me is increasing. If you don't evolve, don't blame me for not bringing you to conquer the world. No, I didn't have the water spirit essence before, so my evolution was slow. With the water spirit essence, I can quickly complete the first transformation. At that time, I will directly transform from the newborn stage to the infant stage. Hao Ming hastily said. He was fearful that Xinghui would toss him into the small pond for several more months. Infant stage. As one of the 6 saints, the Xuanwu sacred beast was one of the top existences among the sacred beasts. Depending on the difference in their physique, their strength was between the 2nd order and the 4th order. Once they entered the juvenile stage, they would at least have the strength of the 5th order. If the transformation went smoothly, they could even reach the 6th order. As for the growth and maturity stages, those were the saint realm. Unless Hao Ming consumed a mature Xuanwu's Naiden, it was impossible for him to step into those 2 stages in a short period of time. Evolve well. I hope to see the day when you become the overlord of the ocean. Tsing Hui said. Under Hao Ming's guidance, they arrived at the master's room. Almost at the same time as he stepped into the room, several prompts sounded in his mind through the Chaos Temple. Discover Tao Carrier. Tao Rhyme Value, 1. Will you integrate it? Discover Tao Carrier. Tao Rhyme Value, 3. Will you integrate it? Discover Tao Carrier. Tao Rhyme Value, 3. Will you integrate it? Tao Carrier. Tsing Hui's eyes lit up slightly. The next moment, he directly followed the prompts and arrived at a large box that was specially kept. There were several treasures of different shapes and sizes in the box. These treasures were either statues, gems, or broken jade. They were of different shapes and sizes. Tsing Hui did a quick count. There were 12 of them. According to the prompts, these 12 items contained a total of 26 Tao rhymes. Although Xuanwu has the intelligence of a human, Xuanwu without a master rarely has the habits of a human. Now that it has put all these things in a box, it seems that the Xuanwu lineage has the means to find Tao Carrier. As Tsing Hui spoke, he directly called out to Xuanwu cub Hao Ming, "Come here." Hao Ming immediately dashed out. When it saw the Tao Carrier in front of Tsing Hui, it was slightly startled. Then, a trace of annoyance flashed through its eyes. It hurriedly presented the many Tao Carrier items in the box to Tsing Hui. With a fawning expression, it said, "Master, these are all treasures that my sister and I have collected over the years. Will these treasures be of use to you? Don't stand on ceremony. Take them. As your most loyal companion, it's only right that I give you these items. It's just a small token of my appreciation." Tsing Hui immediately understood the reason for Hao Ming's change in mood. After returning to his sister's cave residence, the only thing on its mind was its water spirit essence. The reason it was annoyed was that it felt that it had missed an opportunity to curry favor with its master with Tao Carrier items. "I've received your kind intentions." Tsing Hui nodded. "But I'm very curious. How did you know that these items would be of use to me, or to the Son of Chaos? It's in our inherited memories. Moreover, these items, as well as you, Master, all have a special aura. As long as we sense this aura, we know that Master is the great Son of Chaos." Speaking of this, Hao Ming looked somewhat reverently at Tsing Hui. With a fawning expression, it said, "The special aura on Master's body is getting stronger and stronger. Clearly, Master has become stronger and stronger. No wonder I, Hao Ming, have chosen you as my master. You are indeed wise and mighty, and your future is limitless." Tsing Hui was now at the 19th level of chaos. At this stage, no one in the entire eastern wilderness could surpass him. Even the sect master of the creation mystical sect was no exception. Not only in the eastern wilderness, but even in the entire world, including the infinite wasteland domain, a 19th level son of chaos was a first-class existence. Even in the top 10 major forces like the celestial dome domain, there were probably no more than 100 sons of chaos who had reached the 19th level. This showed how extraordinary a 19th level son of chaos was. Sons of chaos, the chosen ones of the master of chaos. What is the meaning of their existence? Tsing Hui muttered to himself. However, after a while, he felt that his worries were unfounded. There was no need for him to consider these unrealistic questions. It was better to study how to get through the current trouble as soon as possible, as well as how to shatter the vacuum and return to Earth. Master, in fact, there are many things here that should be useful to you human cultivators. These are the spoils of war that my sister obtained when she defeated those powerful humans. As Hao Ming spoke, he led Tsing Hui to the last room. On the floor of the room, there were dozens of scattered divine weapons and armor. Some of these armors seemed to have a long history, while others seemed to be newly cast. Most of them had been damaged in battle, but there were still a dozen or so that were in good condition. Tsing Hui scanned the room for a moment, and his gaze immediately fell on a flying sword. In the next moment, he strode forward and quickly arrived in front of the golden flying sword. Powerful sword intent immediately poured into the flying sword, obliterating the spiritual imprint of the owner of the flying sword who had died a long time ago. Buzz buzz. As the flying sword was controlled by Tsing Hui, the flying sword quickly circled around him. Its speed was so fast that it could move at will. A 6th order flying sword. And it's a 6th order upper grade flying sword. Tsing Hui's eyes flashed with a trace of surprise. Armors were half a tier higher than divine weapons, and flying swords were usually 1 tier higher than divine weapons. If a 6th tier upper grade flying sword were to be sold, it would definitely be able to fetch the price of a 7th tier upper grade divine weapon. With such a flying sword, even if it was brought to the top of the 10 sacred sects, it would be enough to become a top-notch existence. I have some recollection of this sword. It was about 20 years ago. The owner of this sword brought 4 powerful humans to kill my sister and refine her essence and blood. However, my sister showed weakness and lured them into the sea to defeat them. In the end, only 2 of the 4 humans escaped. As Hao Ming spoke, he looked at the flying sword with a trace of fear in his eyes. That was my sister's most tragic battle. After the battle, she was severely injured and took more than half a year to recover. Tsing Hui immediately knew that this was a team of top experts from the eastern wilderness who wanted to kill the Saint Realm Xuanwu and refine his essence and blood to break through. To be able to kill a Saint stage Xuanwu expert, one had to be at the 6th level of the longevity stage with Saint techniques, or one had to be at the Saint stage themselves. These people were all patriarch-level existences in the 10 great sacred sects. Let alone the 3rd-tier forces like the Golden Crow sect and Green Lotus Sword sect, even the 2nd-tier forces like the Hunyuan Heavenly sect, 6 God and Demon Dao, Shenshao Sword sect, and other forces did not have more than 5 such people. How could the things they left behind be bad? Perhaps these divine weapons would be even more valuable than the 26 Taoist rhymes. Thinking of this, Tsing Hui eagerly looked at the divine weapons. A 7th order divine weapon. It's damaged. This armor is also a 7th order divine weapon. It's a pity that it's so badly damaged that it can only be restored to a mid-6th order divine weapon or even a low 6th order divine weapon. There's an upper 5th order flying sword here. Good stuff. This flying sword was probably a low 6th order divine weapon before it was damaged, right? Sigh. Don't you know how to be merciful? Is this a flying treasure similar to Feather Moon? It looks like it's a 5th order divine weapon. Good stuff, and these. Tsing Hui's face was filled with faint joy. Although most of these divine weapons were damaged, he was still extremely satisfied with the final harvest. Among the 83 divine weapons, less than half of them were worthless. Out of the 33 divine weapons, 22 of them could be recycled as materials, 16 of them could still be used to a certain extent, and 12 of them were perfectly preserved. Among the 12 divine weapons, there were 3 6th order divine weapons, 1 6th order divine armor, and 1 6th order flying sword. The rest were 5th order divine weapons. Among the 5th order divine weapons, the most valuable ones were the high 5th order divine weapon, the Holy Winged Dragon Eagle, the high 5th order flying sword, the flying feather, and the high 5th order divine weapon, the water driving pearl, which was specially prepared to deal with Xuanwu's Saint Beast. Although these treasures were only 5th order divine weapons, their value was not inferior to 6th order divine weapons. Chapter 166. I have a lot of materials on me right now. Once the cooldown of the divine blessing is over, I can even use these materials and the remains of the divine weapon to forge a 7th grade divine weapon. Tsing Hui glanced at the materials and put them all into his personal space. Hao Ming, it's not safe for you to stay here. Take the water spirit essence and go cultivate outside North Sea City. It won't be too late for you to return and reclaim your position as the overlord of the seas when you've completed your transformation. Back to that little pond again. The infant black tortoise, Hao Ming, immediately revealed a distressed expression. The bloodline of the sacred beast Xuanwu is likely to give birth to many sea beasts that haven't transformed yet. If you don't want to become the prey of those 5th grade sea beasts, taking refuge on Dragon Slaying Island is the best choice. Tsing Hui explained patiently, which was rare of him. I understand. Tsing Hui brought Xuanwu Hao Ming out of the cave again. Hao Ming then closed the cave and floated to the surface with Madame Duyu, who was guarding outside. Tsing Hui landed on the small island that was less than a kilometer in diameter and quickly activated the sacred winged draconic eagle he'd just obtained. The sacred winged draconic eagle was similar to the sacred winged golden rock that Tsing Hui had seen in Ling Yu's hands, but it was smaller in size. As Tsing Hui activated his qi and unfolded the sacred winged draconic eagle, a gigantic creature with a wingspan of nearly 10 meters appeared in front of them. A product of the Alchemy Valley's sacred winged draconic eagle series, Madame Duyu looked at the unfolded sacred winged draconic eagle with envy. This sacred winged draconic eagle has reached the upper 5th grade. There aren't many of them even in Alchemy Valley. It must have been owned by someone important. When Qing Su heard that, he secretly committed it to memory. There were not a lot of high-grade Class 5 saintly winged dragonhawks for sale, so to avoid any trouble, it would be best to reconstruct them into a saintly winged golden pang. The group then returned to Dragon Slaying City. Tsing Hui summoned a few cultivators with the ability to refine weapons. After asking them to remodel the appearance of the sacred winged draconic eagle, he directly counted the gains from this trip to the Xuanwu Sacred Beast Cave. 3 6th-level divine weapons, 1 set of armor, and 1 flying sword. Tsing Hui naturally wanted to keep the flying sword for himself. As for the armor, it was an earth elemental armor, which was also incompatible with Tsing Hui's own element. There was no suitable candidate among the upper echelons of Dragon Slaying Island. Tsing Hui could only stay and see if he could exchange it for some top treasures. As for the remaining level 6 divine weapons, Tsing Hui planned to leave one for Yun Tao and keep the other 2 for himself. Madame Dogwood's most powerful weapon was the soul-sucking bell, so a divine weapon might not be of much help to her. If she were to give him anything, she would only give him the grade 5 armor and the grade 4 Qingxian sword. As for Dan Tating, the reward of a level 6 divine weapon was too great, and he couldn't afford it. Calculating the time, there were only 12 days left until the trade fair in Lingyu, so Tsing Hui didn't dare to delay. After resting for 2 days, he summoned Dan Tating, Dan Taiying, and the others and gave them a series of instructions. Then, he took Madame Dogwood, Yun Tao, and a huge amount of resources, summoned the sacred winged draconic eagle, and headed inland. The reason why he didn't take the warship was mainly because of his current status. The major forces in the inland had great monitoring of overseas experts of the unity of spirit realm. It was better when he had just taken over Dragon Slaying Island and his reputation had yet to spread. But now, as time passed, Dragon Slaying Island had gained some reputation overseas. If he piloted the warship of Dragon Slaying Island into the inland, he would definitely be targeted immediately. This wasn't in line with his original intention of going to Blazing Mountain. The level 5 upper grade sacred winged draconic eagle was extremely fast, several times faster than warships of the same level. It could reach a speed of 600 km per hour, even though it needed someone to be in charge of piloting it. It also consumed a lot of spirit stones, costing hundreds of spirit stones per hour. Blazing Glory's colored Glaze Island's annual income was only 4,000 spirit stones. In other words, the sacred winged draconic eagle needed to fly for 2 days and 2 nights to squander all of colored Glaze Island's income. Fortunately, Tsing Hui's status as the owner of Dragon Slaying Island couldn't be compared to before. In addition, he didn't use the sacred winged draconic eagle often, so this consumption was within an acceptable range. After flying at full speed for 4 days, the sacred winged draconic eagle finally stepped into the territory of the Jin Wu religion. After flying for another 3 days, the endless mountain range of Blazing Mountain finally appeared in front of them. It was now less than 3 days before Ling Yu's transaction. Standing in front of the window of the sacred winged draconic eagle, Xing Hui looked down. What he saw was a rather barren mountain range, and in the center of this mountain range, there was a tall volcano. If he looked carefully, he could even see billowing smoke from the mouth of the volcano from time to time. There were 2 main sources of energy for cultivation in the Jin Wu religion. One was refined and absorbed from the scorching sun, while the other came from the earth fire. Because of this, the earth fire ran rampant in the Jin Wu religion, and volcanoes were common. If I remember correctly, after passing Blazing Mountain and traveling another 10,000 kilometers, we will arrive at the number 1 city of the eastern wilderness, Wanxiang City, right? Xing Hui said. It is indeed Wanxiang City. Madame Zhu Yu replied, Wanxiang City, Heavenly Medicine Alliance, Alchemy Valley, Drifting Wind Mountain and the Martial God Tower are the 5 strongest factions under the 10 great sections. Although these 5 factions cannot compare to the 10 great sects in terms of foundation, the 10 great sects would have to pay a heavy price to destroy them. In addition, they are relatively close neighbors and have allied with each other, making the 10 great sects wary of them. As time passed, they managed to survive between the cracks of the 10 great sections. Apart from paying some tribute to their neighbors, the Hunyuan Heavenly Sect, Jin Wu Religion, Green Lotus Sword Sect and Giant Dragon Mountain Range, they are not under the jurisdiction of the 10 great sections. The Martial God Tower and Drifting Wind Mountain are slightly inferior to Wanxiang City, Heavenly Medicine Alliance and Alchemy Valley, especially Wanxiang City, which is known as the number 1 city in the eastern wilderness. Who dares to underestimate it? The city lord of Wanxiang City is said to be an invincible figure who can contend against saint experts. The city he established is a truly prosperous and dazzling place, a holy land for unaffiliated cultivators. I happen to obtain many treasures in the Xuanwu cave abode. After this matter is over, I will directly head to Wanxiang City to deal with them and exchange them for cultivation resources. Wanxiang City is indeed the best choice for goods, but the processing fee is a little too high. It's fine. As long as Wanxiang City can truly guarantee the safety of the transaction, what's wrong with giving them some processing fee? At least we won't have to worry about being taken advantage of like in 100 Ocean City. Madame Zhu Yu saw that Xing Hui had made up his mind and did not say anything else. Can you control the Qingxian sword? A trace of gratitude flashed across Madame Zhu Yu's eyes. Island Lord, I can already control the Qingxian sword like an extension of my arm. That's good. Even though I have the treasure will boundary and a 6th grade flying sword, we still need a deeper layer of insurance to prevent any accidents. If Lingyue senses that something is wrong and plans to escape in time, you can chase after her and use the soul-sucking bell to interfere with her, even if it's just for a moment. This will make our mission to capture her much smoother. I understand. Madame Zhu Yu replied respectfully. Xing Hui nodded. All that was left was to wait. As they waited, 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Island Lord, it's time. Qing Su was calm, but he had split a portion of his consciousness into the Chaos Divine Hull. Don't worry. I don't believe Lingyue would be so kind as to hold a trade with the merchants of the Heavenly First Treasure Pavilion peacefully. There's a 99% chance that this so-called trade is a scam. Let's just wait here for Feng Hui to contact me. Yes. Madame Zhu Yu replied and continued to wait. This wait lasted for an entire day. Just when Madame Zhu Yu felt that this transaction might not be a problem, Feng Hui's figure suddenly appeared in Xing Hui's personal space. His face was filled with panic. Lord Pak Hui, you were right. This is a trap. Leader Lingyue is actually such a person. Lord Pak Hui, save us, please save us, tell me your location immediately. Xing Hui's eyes flashed. We're in an underground cave under the blazing flame mountain's 9th peak. Lingyue and the people of the Jin Wu religion have sealed the only exit of the cave. There's no way out for us. Feng Hui's face was filled with regret and grief. There was even a trace of despair in his expression. Before he could finish speaking, his figure suddenly dissipated. Clearly, his consciousness was so damaged that he couldn't maintain his image in the Chaos Divine Palace. The Jin Wu religion. Lingyue is really bold. She's actually in cahoots with the Jin Wu religion. Tsing Hui's eyes were overflowing with coldness. The blazing flame mountain was the territory of the Jin Wu religion. Furthermore, this place was less than 1,000 kilometers away from the Jin Wu religion's headquarters. 1,000 kilometers was more than enough for an immortal stage 6 or a cultivator with a 6th grade flying sword to cover it in an hour. Once he really appeared and clashed with Lingyue, the people of the Jin Wu religion would know that he, a non-member of the Jin Wu religion, had actually cultivated the Great Sun Golden Crow technique to the 3rd level. Then, he would just have to wait for the Jin Wu religion to come after him endlessly. Even if he hid overseas, the Jin Wu religion would definitely not let him go in order to ensure that the Great Sun Golden Crow technique was not leaked. That was a good plan. Unfortunately, the technique that I'm cultivating is not as simple as the Great Sun Golden Crow technique. Yun Tao, control the saintly winged dragon hawk and head to the 9th peak as quickly as possible. The target has appeared. Yes. Yun Tao was invigorated. He channeled all of his true chi into the saintly winged dragonhawk's energy ball. In an instant, the gigantic beast spread its wings and soared into the sky, heading towards the 9th peak of the blazing flame mountain. Tsing Hui was already in the blazing flame mountain, and the saintly winged dragonhawk was extremely fast. In less than half an hour, the 9th peak was already in sight. There's someone. It's an expert from the Jin Wu religion. Madame Zhu Yu immediately noticed 3 cultivators riding on birds the moment she stepped into the 9th peak. They wore long golden robes with the image of the Great Sun Golden Crow embroidered on them. Charge. Go to the karst cave where the ley lines are. This island lord, there's usually only one entrance to the ley line cave. Once the Jin Wu religion people surround the entrance, we won't be able to escape even if we have wings. Yun Tao hesitated. Then, won't it be fine if we don't give them a chance to trap us? Charge in. Seeing that Tsing Hui had made up his mind, Yun Tao no longer hesitated. He immediately controlled the saintly winged dragonhawk, ignoring the cries of the 3 Jin Wu religion experts, and charged towards the entrance of the karst cave like a beam of golden light. Chapter 167. Ha! Miss Lingyu, you're truly ruthless. These people are the core members of Dawn, but you've lured them all into a trap. In this aspect, we, Hongyang and Hongyan, are far inferior to you. In the underground cave of the 9th peak, a middle-aged man in a fiery red robe was laughing loudly. His expression was relaxed and joyful. This middle-aged man was Hongyang, an elder of the Jin Wu religion. However, his cultivation had reached the 5th level of the immortality realm, the Qing Ming realm. Behind him was his younger brother, who was about the same age as him. However, he was also at the peak of the 4th level of the immortality realm. Other than the 2 of them, there were 13 other spirit refining cultivators. However, these 13 were obviously secretly recruited by Hongyang and Hongyan, just in case. Hearing Hongyang's words, Lingyu, who was slowly wiping the thin sword dripping with blood, raised her head slightly and smiled. Elder Hongyang, you're too kind. We're not like you who come from the sacred grounds. In order to survive, we have no choice but to use all methods. Otherwise, how could we have achieved what we have today? After speaking, she glanced at the 13 unconscious people in the cave, as well as the 9 people who had been killed. Her face carried a trace of regret. It's a pity that the return to silence powder we prepared was seen through by one of them. As a result, they were alerted and resisted with all their might. We had no choice but to use violence to suppress and capture them alive. In the end, 9 of them died for nothing. Among these 9 people, Bai Hai and Zi Lang were both rank 4 Sons of Chaos. Even if they inherited their Sons of Chaos, they would still be rank 2. If we were to sell them, even at our local price, it wouldn't be a problem to sell a few rank 5 divine weapons. Rank 4 Sons of Chaos, Hunyuan and Hunyuan's eyes flashed with a trace of pain. Especially Hunyuan, who himself was only rank 4. It was a pity that he couldn't find a way to buy a rank 10 or higher Son of Chaos. But then again, a rank 10 Son of Chaos was extremely precious. Even if they could find a way to buy one, they might not be able to afford it. Among the 13 people, the one with the highest rank should be Xingyao, right? His Son of Chaos has reached rank 8. I just don't know how many Dao treasures he has prepared this time. It doesn't matter. When the time comes, we will interrogate them one by one. Ling Yu smiled. According to our agreement, their primal chaos spells will belong to me, and their Daoist items will belong to you. Although I don't know the details, based on their conversation, I can tell that your Daoist rhymes won't be less than 50. As she spoke, she glanced at the few dead Sons of Chaos. Of course, due to unnecessary losses, this number will probably be slightly discounted, but I believe it's still at least 40. 40 Daoist rhymes, hee. Even if it's based on the prices in the eastern wilderness, it's enough for me to cultivate to the peak of the green netherworld realm. Hong Yang's eyes flashed with greed. Ling Yu looked at the 22 Sons of Chaos of Dawn who had been completely subdued, then looked at Hong Yang and Hong Yan. She couldn't tell if she was disappointed or glad. She had pulled Hong Yang and Hong Yan along because she was prepared to trick Xing Hui. A rank 10 Son of Chaos was bound to make Hong Yang and Hong Yan go crazy. In addition, the other party had the Great Sun Golden Crow technique. Xing Hui would definitely die, and she would have gotten rid of one of her greatest worries. Unfortunately, Xing Hui clearly didn't fall for it. Just as she was feeling regretful, Hong Yan seemed to have received a message, and his expression changed slightly. Someone has barged in. They ignored Qi Tong and the others' warnings. Who dares to behave so atrociously in our Jin Wu religion's territory? Hong Yang's eyes flashed with killing intent. He couldn't allow anything to happen to 40 Daoist rhymes. He's really here. A trace of joy appeared in Ling Yu's eyes, and then she hurriedly said solemnly, "Everyone, this kid might be the reinforcements one of the Sons of Chaos invited. Since he knows we're here, he probably isn't an ordinary person. Didn't I tell you to invite Grand Elder Xian Zhu to the Crimson Afterglow Peak? Please immediately ask for help from the Crimson Afterglow Peak. The Crimson Afterglow Peak is only 200 kilometers away. With Grand Elder Xian Zhu's speed, he'll be able to arrive in an incense's time." Hong Yang and Hong Yan weren't fools. When Ling Yu spoke, they immediately realized something. "Ling Yu, are you hiding something from us?" Ling Yu didn't shrink back. "My plan was accidentally exposed. This person didn't appear before and only appeared now. Most likely, he has the intention of being the Oriole behind. Although his cultivation isn't high, only at the peak spirit refining realm, his battle prowess isn't inferior to those in the spirit and Qi unity realm. Moreover, he's a rank 10 Son of Chaos who has divine techniques. Spirit and Qi unity realm, a rank 10 Son of Chaos who has divine techniques." Hearing Ling Yu's words, Hong Yang's eyes lit up instead of being afraid. "Yes, rank 10. And rank 10 is just my guess. The other party's chaos level might be higher than rank 10. Good. Divine techniques. Although divine techniques can raise his strength by a rank, he's still a spirit refining realm cultivator. The difference between realms isn't something that can be made up for by the density of his Qi. Since this brat came, we'll make him stay. Big brother, let me inherit this Son of Chaos. I'm willing to give up on the 40 Daoist rhythms obtained from this operation." There was a trace of hesitation on Hunyuan's face, but he still agreed after a moment. All right, as you say. The two of you, don't be careless. This person's cultivation is unfathomable, especially his qi. If I'm not wrong, he's most likely using your Jin Wu religion's great sun Golden Crow art to cultivate his Golden Crow qi. Golden Crow qi. And his qi is at the peak. Big brother, this person who dares to steal our Jin Wu religion's secret technique must not be allowed to live. Yes. Absolutely not. Rumble. As the two of them were glaring fiercely, a rumbling sound came from outside the cave. Then, a sacred winged draconic eagle with a wingspan of nearly 10 meters charged into the depths of the cave. There's someone else. Seeing Hunyuan and Hunyuan in the cave, Tsing Hui's expression changed slightly. Especially Hunyuan, he could feel the aura of the green netherworld realm from him. Even if he had divine techniques, he might not be able to take down a green netherworld realm cultivator. From the looks of it, he had no choice but to use his Golden Crow qi. Yun Tao, Madame Zhu Yu, the two of you stay behind and block the exit. Don't let anyone escape. Yes. After receiving the order, Madame Zhu Yu and Yun Tao quickly retreated and blocked the exit. Ha! You want to block the exit and catch us all in one fell swoop. Foolish beyond compare. I'm afraid you don't have the strength to do so. Kid, I heard that you've cultivated our Jin Wu religion's great sun Golden Crow art, and that you're also a rank 10 son of chaos. Immediately use your divine technique and let me clean you up on behalf of our Jin Wu religion. Otherwise, you won't accept your defeat. Hunyuan was the first to jump out. He struck out eagerly. As he swung out a chain-like weapon, it immediately erupted with a large amount of fiery light. Like a huge, flaming snake, it swept up a terrifying wave of heat and lunged towards Qing Su. However, Qing Su understood that there was no need to fear Hunyuan, who had fused with the qi. The one who could truly pose a threat was Hunyuan. If he wanted to expose his Golden Crow qi and kill the two of them, he first had to kill Hunyuan. Only with Hunyuan dead would he be confident that he could kill everyone in the cave and prevent the news from leaking out. Tsing Hui's speed suddenly soared as he used a spell from the Black Hole Sutra. In a flash, he crossed over Hunyuan's fire serpent. At the same time, he activated his divine technique, and a powerful and suffocating pressure swept out from his body. Hunyuan, who wanted to use Hunyuan to test out Tsing Hui's strength, grimaced. Not good. With a shake of Hunyuan's right hand, he summoned a chain weapon similar to Hunyuan. The chain swept out and turned into a terrifying fire dragon in a single moment, lunging towards Qing Su with scorching waves of heat. For a moment, the shocking waves of heat filled the cavern, incinerating all the air in the cavern. Die! Qing Su roared out. His aura erupted, and a vast figure of the Golden Crow suddenly appeared behind him. It radiated with the boundless pressure of the King of Flames as it rolled down. The Great Sun Golden Crow art. It really is our Jin Wu religion's Great Sun Golden Crow art. Brat, you dare to steal our Jin Wu religion's divine scripture. No one can save you. Purgatory Dragon Dance. With a roar, Hunyuan's blazing true qi erupted to the limit. Even though he had only cultivated spirit-grade true qi, he was still able to rely on his advantage of being 2 realms higher than Tsing Hui to make that fire dragon roar and explode with a terrifying attack that was not much inferior to Tsing Hui's. But Tsing Hui ignored this attack that was enough to turn an ordinary blue netherworld realm expert to dust. The Golden Crow sword's tip pointed straight ahead, radiating killing intent. It was as if he was risking his life for Tsing Hui's. You're courting death. A layer of flame armor suddenly appeared on Hunyuan's body. As Tsing Hui's sword fell on him, his purgatory dragon dance completely engulfed Tsing Hui. For a moment, a violent explosion rang out in the cave, shaking the earth and mountains. Terrifying waves of heat rolled in all directions, forming a shockwave visible to the naked eye. Ling Yu, Hunyuan, and the others felt their scalps tingle, and they couldn't help but retreat. Damn it, this brat took a direct hit from my big brother's purgatory dragon dance. He's dead for sure. My primal chaos technique. Hunyuan's eyes were filled with pain. Ling Yu, on the other hand, was in disbelief. She didn't believe that Xing Hui would be so easily killed by Hunyuan. As a matter of fact, she had never even thought that Hunyuan would be able to kill Qing Su when she understood Qing Su's true strength. The reason why she had dragged Hunyuan along was because she hoped that he would be able to delay Qing Su's saint technique a little longer when he used it. But in the next moment, the pain in Hunyuan's eyes and the disbelief on Ling Yu's face disappeared. In the raging torrent of flames, 3 resonant cries rang out at the same time. Then, in the middle of the battlefield filled with endless light and heat, Hunyuan's terrified and incredulous cry suddenly rang out, "Scarlet Crow Soul." No. Rumble. The violent explosion and destructive waves of heat completely swallowed Hunyuan's following cry. Chapter 168. Damn it, how could this be? Ling Yu was originally waiting for Hunyuan, a blue netherworld expert, to forcefully resist the Qing Su sacred technique so that he could exhaust as much of the Qing Su sacred technique as possible, but when she sensed Hunyuan's aura rapidly decline with a shriek, her face immediately changed. Rumble. Within the violent eruption of flames, Qing Su shot out from the dazzling light with his sword. The golden crow spread its wings and charged towards Hunyuan with surging streams. Before the sword had even arrived, the pressure on him that was comparable to the strike of an expert at the 6th level of longevity realm had already surged over, directly causing the aura qi on the surface of his body to tremble violently, showing signs of collapsing. Ah! Flaming serpent roar. Hunyuan no longer had the time to be immersed in the sorrow of Hunyuan's death. He roared out and pushed his strength to the limit. The chains danced wildly like fire pythons, sweeping towards Qing Su with scorching waves of heat. He tried to block the sharpness of his attack, while he retreated as quickly as he could, ding-ling-ling. However, right at this moment, Madame Zhu Yu, who was guarding the entrance, seized the opportunity. She immediately activated the soul-absorbing bell, and a terrifying ringing sound entered Hunyuan's mind, causing his flaming python to pause for a moment. In that instant of pause, Qing Su's sword swept past Hunyuan's body with a terrifying torrent of flames. The collision of flames and aura qi caused a violent explosion. A shockwave visible to the naked eye spread out, causing the entire cave to shake. Some of the Golden Crow sect spirit refining cultivators who were closer to the shockwave were swept away and died on the spot. However, Madame Zhu Yu's attack gave Ling Yu a chance. After witnessing Qing Su slay Hunyuan in such a devastating fashion without even giving him the chance to spread the news, Ling Yu's heart had already turned cold. While Qing Su still needed to kill Hunyuan, the power within her suddenly erupted, shooting towards the entrance of the cavern like a streak of light. She no longer cared about trying to obtain the level of chaos of the 13 children of chaos and the items on them anymore. Don't even think about escaping. Seeing Ling Yu rushing toward the entrance of the cave, Yun Tao roared and swung his sword. Scram! A mere cultivator at the early stage of the unity of spirit and chi realm actually dared to block her path. A cold light flashed across Ling Yu's pretty face as she let out a fierce shout. 3 extremely fierce gang chis carried along a sharp whistling sound that tore through the void as they slashed towards Yun Tao. It seemed as if they were going to kill him in one move. However, if Yun Tao had faced Ling Yu's furious attack earlier, he would have been heavily injured even if he managed to survive. However, Qing Su had benefited greatly from the Xuanwu's dwelling recently, so he had specially given Yun Tao a Class 6 divine artifact. As he unleashed the power within the divine artifact, strands of resplendent light immediately shot out, turning into countless streaks of light. They clashed with the 3 strands of energy that Ling Yu had unleashed like a storm, actually shattering Ling Yu's energy in a single instance. Rank 6 Divine Weapon. Ling Yu's eyes widened. Unity of Spirit Realm Early Stage. A cultivator at the initial stage of Unity of Spirit and Qi Realm actually had a 6th level divine weapon. Furthermore, or was it an Overseas Spirit and Qi Uniting Realm cultivator? Since when did the Overseas Spirit and Qi Uniting Realm cultivators become so wealthy? Ring, ring, ring. As Ling Yu's figure was slightly obstructed by Yun Tao's divine weapon, Madame Dogwood abruptly reacted and activated the soul-sucking bell. Waves of frightening power surged towards Ling Yu, causing her mind to sway. Spiritual attack. Ling Yu, who was in a daze, bit her tongue, and the intense pain instantly woke her up. Not good. Seeing that Xing Hui had killed Hunyuan, Ling Yu understood that the situation was on the line between life and death. She immediately let out a low roar and no longer cared about hiding her trump cards. She activated the divine art, and the aura of her body surged. The image of a bird with wings spread behind her, and a terrifying aura swept out. Ping! Wherever the sword light went, the tens of thousands of sword shadows that Yun Tao had created with his rank 6 divine weapon were quickly shattered. Ling Yu was like a divine weapon that had pierced into the ground, easily tearing through the rain of swords that Yun Tao had created with his rank 6 divine weapon. Just the aftershock of the sword aura alone had sent Yun Tao flying. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and his body was pierced by 4 sword auras. If it wasn't for the fact that he had awakened a special bloodline and had strong recovery abilities, this attack alone would have been enough to kill him. My lady, seeing that Ling Yu was about to break out of the encirclement and escape, Madame Zhu Yu hurriedly shouted. The soul-sucking bell vibrated even more urgently, and waves of sound waves that attacked Ling Yu's mind continuously swept toward her. Whoosh! At the critical moment, a sword light burst forth. Ling Yu, who was about to escape, felt a terrifying aura penetrating her body. In the next moment, her entire body was pierced by a sword light, and the powerful inertia sent her crashing into the wall. A flying sword. A rank 6 flying sword. Ling Yu glanced at the sword light that had pierced through her body from the corner of her eye, and despair appeared in her eyes. A rank 6 flying sword. It was actually a rank 6 upper-grade flying sword. Treasured will boundary. In the next moment, a dazzling golden light spread out like an inverted bowl, completely enveloping Ling Yu's body. Being trapped by the treasured will boundary, the despair in Ling Yu's eyes deepened. However, some people might completely lose their fighting spirit in a desperate situation and surrender without a fight. However, some people would be completely stimulated and fight to the death without fear of death. Ling Yu, although she was a woman, she clearly belonged to the latter category. Seeing that Xing Hui had stepped into the treasured will boundary and was about to kill her, Ling Yu let out a low roar, and the killing intent on her body reached its peak. In an instant, she pounced toward Xing Hui. Wherever the sword light went, the void would be torn apart. The terrifying aura that came from a rank 4 divine weapon was enough to make one's hair stand on end. Unfortunately, Crimson Crow's soul. Xing Hui let out a low roar and stabbed his sword toward Ling Yu. In his body, a Crimson Crow was activated. It let out a loud cry and flew out of the Golden Crow's sword along with his vital energy. In an instant, it collided with Ling Yu's desperate attack. In an instant, a terrifying explosive force spread out, and the entire treasured will boundary was filled with a blazing torrent of destruction. The treasured will boundary shook violently and almost collapsed. Wherever the heat passed, the solid ground was burned into glass, and the area within a radius of dozens of meters became a land of death. However, that terrifying heat wave was a land of death for ordinary life forms, but to Xing Hui, who had the young-devouring bead, it was not worth mentioning at all. At the moment the Crimson Crow's soul exploded, he completely disregarded the blazing energy within the Crimson Crow's soul that could incinerate space, and he fused with his sword and charged into the blazing and surging torrent. Before Ling Yu could even catch her breath due to the obstruction of the Crimson Crow soul, an extremely dazzling and resplendent sword light once again erupted from the Golden Crow sword. Starfire flowing light. Rumble. Like a meteor crashing into the ground, an even more violent and blazing energy exploded before the Crimson Crow soul's power dissipated. The treasured will boundary, which was already on the verge of collapse, could no longer withstand the impact of this destructive force. It exploded with a bang, scattering into countless streaks of golden light. Within the streaks of golden light, a resplendent sun exploded, emitting boundless light and heat that illuminated the entire cave. At this moment, if someone were to open their eyes and look directly at the blazing sun, they would definitely be instantly blinded and lose their sight. Even Madame Zhu Yu and Yun Tao, who were at the unity of spirit realm, couldn't help but cover their eyes and quickly retreat. Finally, after an unknown amount of time, the surging heat wave and the blinding light gradually dissipated. Madame Zhu Yu and Yun Tao finally opened their eyes. As they opened their eyes, they happened to see Tsing Hui repeatedly patting Ling Yu's body. Soon, all the Zhen Qi in her body was dispersed and sealed. Then, he used a secret technique to point at Ling Yu's glabella, piercing her spirit sea, making it impossible for her to condense primal chaos spells and enter the primal chaos temple. Ah! The pain of having her spirit sea pierced caused Ling Yu to immediately wake up from her coma. She could not help but let out a painful scream, her whole body drenched in cold sweat. "You, leave no one alive." Tsing Hui did not pay attention to her. He glanced at the few spirit-refining realm cultivators that Hunyuan had brought and directly ordered Madame Zhu Yu and Yun Tao. Upon receiving the order, the two immediately rushed into the spirit-refining realm cultivators that were lucky enough to survive and started a massacre. Miserable screams quickly resounded in the cave. Blazing Flame Mountain is the land of the Jin Wu religion. It's too close to the headquarters of the Jin Wu religion. With such a big commotion here, people will soon come to investigate. It's not good to stay here for long. Check the spoils of war and take those unconscious sons of primal chaos. Let's go. As Tsing Hui spoke, he carried Ling Yu and directly landed on the sacred winged draconic eagle. Yun Tao and Madame Dogwood also stepped forward and quickly searched the bodies of the dozen or so scions of chaos of dawn. After checking the spoils of war, they carried the 13 unconscious scions of chaos who were still alive onto the Saint-winged dragonhawk. Soon, this massive object rose into the air and quickly flew out of the cave. Outside the cave, there were still two Jin Wu religion cultivators riding on flying beasts. Obviously, they were two of the 3 spirit-refining realm cultivators that were patrolling earlier. As for the whereabouts of the other one, it was unknown. Before they had time to react, Tsing Hui's flying sword had already shot out and pierced through their heads from thousands of meters away, killing them on the spot. After that, Tsing Hui let Yun Tao control the sacred winged draconic eagle to hover outside the cave. He jumped in front of the cave and took a deep breath. The power in his body rose again, and his crimson yang Zhen Qi circulated crazily. Then, with the golden crow sword as a guide, hundreds and thousands of sword rays burst out and bombarded the walls of the cave. Rumble. Accompanied by a series of earthquakes, the walls of the cave continuously cracked and fell under the bombardment of Tsing Hui's sword qi. Finally, it caused a chain of collapses and completely buried the entire cave, destroying the corpses and destroying the evidence. The 2 elders were already high-ranking members of the Jin Wu religion. The death of 2 elders would definitely incur the wrath of the Jin Wu religion. Once the Jin Wu religion investigated carefully, even if Tsing Hui collapsed the cave, they would still be able to find some clues. However, doing so would at least increase the difficulty of investigating the Jin Wu religion. And after a few months, by the time they investigated the truth of the matter, he would have already gone overseas. At that time, if the people of the Jin Wu religion wanted to hunt him down, it would be unknown who would emerge victorious. Chapter 169. Swoosh! The holy winged dragon eagle soared into the clouds and flew at full speed. It followed the escape route that Xing Hui and the rest had planned and headed towards Wanxiang City at full speed. The sea of clouds was already tens of kilometers above the ground and was in an area where the wind was biting cold. Even a green netherworld realm expert would have to use a lot of vital energy to fly at such a height, let alone ordinary birds and battleships. This holy winged dragon eagle was a 5th-level superior treasure. Only the grand elders of the 10 great sage sects had such a treasure. There were probably no more than 10 of them in the entire Jin Wu religion. Furthermore, Xing Hui had asked someone to disguise the holy winged dragon eagle on Dragon Slaying Island so that it looked similar to a 4th-level holy winged golden rock. Even if the people from the Jin Wu religion wanted to kill it, they would probably treat it as a holy winged golden rock. As for the holy winged golden rock, although its flying speed was not slow, there was a limit to how high it could fly. As such, even if the people from the Jin Wu religion really wanted to kill it, they would probably fly under the holy winged dragon eagle time and time again without realizing it. Do you have enough spirit stones? Xing Hui asked Yun Tao, who was controlling the holy winged dragon eagle. Yes. However, we have to increase the power output to the maximum in order to withstand the wind. The consumption of spirit stones will be 3 times higher than before. Yun Tao said in a low voice. 3 times the consumption would be 300 spirit stones per hour. This was the price of a 2nd-level god weapon. So be it. This is the only way to ensure that the people from the Jin Wu religion don't follow us. As Qing Su said that, he ignored the unconscious scions of chaos and directly arrived before Lingyu, who had already woken up from the pain earlier. Leader of Dawn, Your Excellency Lingyu, you've already seen the situation before you very clearly. Unfortunately, I've captured you alive. You've captured quite a few scions of chaos in your life, so you should know what will happen if a scion of chaos ends up in the hands of another. Ling Yu's expression was miserable and her eyes were filled with unwillingness. I didn't think that I would still fall into your hands in the end. All of this is my own fault. If I hadn't been possessed and listened to Dragon Shadow's temptation, I wouldn't have ended up like this today. Xing Hui shook his head. There's one thing you might be mistaken about. Even without the matter of Dragon Shadow, there would still be a battle between us. This was destined from the moment you stole that batch of supreme grade fire spirit stones from Blazing Glory. Blazing Glory? Ling Yu's expression changed slightly. Blazing Glory is working for you? Not bad. Ling Yu's face turned even paler when she heard this. Even though I captured Blazing Glory alive, the torture and interrogation that followed had nothing to do with me. I know that a son of primal chaos would definitely die if he fell into the hands of another son of primal chaos, but, since you were able to tolerate Blazing Glory, it's clear that you're someone who cherishes talents. Please give me a chance. I'm willing to submit to you and serve you just like Blazing Glory. I only ask that you spare my life. Xing Hui was slightly taken aback when he heard Ling Yu's words. He did not expect Ling Yu to be so decisive and choose to compromise without any hesitation. However, it made sense when he thought about it. Ling Yu and Dragon Shadow were both sons of primal chaos who walked in the gray area. They knew very well what would happen if they fell into the hands of another son of primal chaos. Therefore, compared to other sons of primal chaos, it was easier for them to recognize their situation and make the choice that was most beneficial to them. Even if this choice might lead to death. For a time, Xing Hui could not help but look at Ling Yu. I only want to live. Please give me a chance, Lord Xing Hui. I'm willing to sign the Primal Chaos Oath. From now on, I'll follow your orders without question, my lord. Ling Yu pleaded. The Primal Chaos Oath. You have 50 Taoist rhymes on you. Ling Yu had a bitter expression on her face as she said, in our profession, we always leave a way out for ourselves. I always maintain my Taoist rhyme above 50 so that I can use the Chaos Oath to fight for a chance of survival if I'm captured one day. Xing Hui looked at Ling Yu and shook his head in the end. Your Chaos level is at rank 10. I don't believe that you can still go against the Chaos Oath if you lose 5 Chaos levels. Ling Yu opened her mouth but did not know how to reply. In the end, she could only beg, "My lord, if I go against the Chaos Oath, I'll lose 5 Chaos levels immediately. By then, I won't have the divine spell, and I'll only die in front of you. As long as I want to live, I won't dare to betray you. Please believe me." Xing Hui frowned. Ling Yu was a powerhouse at the pinnacle of spirit and qi as one. She only needed an opportunity to break through to the blue netherworld realm. Once she reached the blue netherworld realm and used the divine spell, her combat strength would be on par with an immortality level 6 powerhouse. Although an immortality level 6 powerhouse had more true qi than an immortality level 5 powerhouse, they had the additional ability of battle body manifestation, which could increase their combat strength to the same level as a saint. However, if he could really subdue Ling Yu, it would be more than enough to deal with an immortality level 6 powerhouse. Hand over your chaos incantation, spiritual brand, and flying sword. I need your absolute loyalty. Xing Hui said in a deep voice. Ling Yu's life was in the hands of others. At this moment, she seemed to be decisive. She handed over her chaos incantation, flying sword, and flying sword. Watch her. Xing Hui said to Madame Zhu Yu. He pinched Ling Yu's chaos incantation. As the spiritual world fell into chaos, a brand new space gradually appeared. Xing Hui did not appear in Ling Yu's personal space or his own personal space. Instead, he appeared in the Chaos Temple. Interface. As soon as Xing Hui spoke, Ling Yu's Son of Chaos interface appeared in front of him. Name, Ling Yu. Chaos level, level 10 required Taoist rhyme, 85100 cultivation level, unity of spirit and qi below. That was a series of strengthening directions for basic attributes and chaos characteristics. Xing Hui glanced at it briefly. Ling Yu's spiritual level had increased by 1 level compared to the last time, reaching level 52. She was not much inferior to Xing Hui. It was no wonder that she could wake up quickly every time she was attacked by the soul-sucking bell. The chaos incantation is detected to be incompatible with your spiritual frequency. Please choose to withdraw or inherit the activation. At this moment, the Chaos Temple's voice kept ringing in his mind. Xing Hui naturally did not dare to inherit Ling Yu's chaos level. Otherwise, his level 19 chaos level would be suppressed to level 5 by Ling Yu's chaos level. It would be too late for regrets then. He immediately withdrew from the Chaos Temple. Leave behind a spiritual brand, and I'll give you a chance to sign the Chaos Oath. Xing Hui said. There was no doubt that he approved of Ling Yu's choice. Ling Yu immediately let out a long sigh. She knew that she would be able to survive. Even though Xing Hui had requested for her to leave an additional spiritual brand, Ling Yu did not dare to disobey and could only obediently do as she was told. After Ling Yu had slightly recovered, the two of them met in the Chaos Temple and Ling Yu used 50 Taoist rhymes to sign the Chaos Oath. The oath was not harsh. It only required Ling Yu to be absolutely loyal to him, not to disobey his orders, not to lie, and so on. Similarly, Xing Hui would also ensure that she had a certain amount of dignity. Ling Yu heaved a sigh of relief when she saw the oath. Although your personal space was previously used as a gathering place for Dawn, some of your treasures should also be stored in your personal space. Release those treasures and let me take a look. Yes. Although Ling Yu could now enter the Chaos Temple, her injuries had not healed. She was under the control of Xing Hui and naturally did not dare to disobey his orders. As Xing Hui stepped into Ling Yu's personal space that was only 9 square meters, he frowned after looking through it. Is this all you have? You're always in the gray area, so you should have quite a lot of treasures. Why don't you have any decent treasures in your personal space? Could it be that you're keeping them somewhere else? My lord. Although we're in the gray area, we have to spend a lot of money to ensure our own safety. Moreover, I'm at a critical moment in breaking through to the green netherworld realm. Half a year ago, I purchased a large number of treasures to temper my body and spirit to increase my chances of breaking through to the green netherworld realm. I've already used up most of my treasures. Otherwise, I wouldn't have taken the risk this time. What about the Daoist items? Any cultivator should have a Daoist item as a backup just in case. Yes. I've collected a total of 12 Daoist rhymes. However, I didn't bring them with me. Instead, I hid them on an unnamed island overseas. Good. Xing Hui glanced at Ling Yu. Before I get those Daoist items, don't try to recover your true energy. Ling Yu knew that Xing Hui still didn't trust her. However, she didn't dare to disobey Xing Hui's orders since she hadn't recovered her strength yet. She could only reply, yes. My lord, according to my observations, those people are about to wake up. At this moment, Madame Dogwood stepped forward and whispered. Her natal treasure was the soul-sucking bell. Coupled with her awakened spirit beast bloodline, she was very sensitive to spiritual fluctuations. Oh. Xing Hui nodded and turned to Ling Yu. How many Daoist rhymes do these people have? Ling Yu didn't dare to hide anything. She quickly reported the number of Daoist rhymes they had. There was a total of 42 Daoist rhymes. After that, she added, of course, this is the number of Daoist rhymes they reported themselves. Only they know how many Daoist items they have. Xing Hui nodded. Alright, you can leave now. Don't let them see you and cause unnecessary trouble. After that, he turned to Madame Dogwood. Have we left the Jinwu religion's territory yet? We've already entered Wanxiang City's territory. We're about 400 kilometers away from Wanxiang City. Good. Let the saintly winged draconic eagle down. I'll have a good chat with these people. Yes. Madame Dogwood quickly controlled the saintly winged draconic eagle with Yun Tao and stopped in a forest. After stopping the saintly winged draconic eagle, Yun Tao and Madame Dogwood stepped forward and placed the 13 surviving sons of chaos on the ground. After that, Xing Hui put the saintly winged draconic eagle into his personal space and quietly waited for them to wake up. Chapter 170. Whoosh! As time passed, the 13 of them woke up one by one. As soon as they woke up, all of them went on alert. However, they soon realized that the true qi in their bodies had been completely sealed. Even the occasional awakening realm cultivator who had yet to cultivate true qi had their qi and blood sealed. For a moment, their expressions were extremely ugly. Very good. It looks like you've all woken up. Xing Hui's voice rang out, instantly drawing the 13's attention. The leader of the 13, a middle-aged man, stepped forward and bowed respectfully to Xing Hui. Greetings, my lord. Thank you for lending us a helping hand and preventing us from suffering a disaster. We can't thank you enough. It looks like you've recalled what happened just now. Xing Hui said. The middle-aged man nodded. At the same time, he gritted his teeth and said, I didn't expect Leader Ling Yu, whom I rather respected, to be such a person. She actually colluded with those hunters and tried in vain to capture all of us sons of chaos in one fell swoop. The other sons of chaos nodded with lingering fear. The fear in their eyes had yet to completely dissipate. This isn't the first time for her. Do you remember the change in the dragon's shadow a few years ago? In reality, she was the one behind it. Everyone nodded slightly, their expressions grave. It's all thanks to my lord's help this time. Otherwise, I'm afraid we would have been completely wiped out like a few years ago. Thank you, my lord. With the middle-aged man in the lead, everyone present stood up and bowed respectfully to Xing Hui. You don't have to thank me too early. I didn't save you for nothing. I won't ask for anything else, but the Dao-carrying artifacts on you will be my reward for saving you. Xing Hui said indifferently. As soon as he said this, the 13's expressions changed at the same time. You want the Dao-carrying artifacts on us? These Dao-carrying artifacts are precious treasures that we went to great lengths to obtain. How can we give them to you? You can't do this, we can't thank you enough for saving our lives, but if you take advantage of the situation and demand repayment, you've gone too far. The 13 sons of chaos were filled with righteous indignation, their faces faintly burning with rage. Grateful? So all I got in return for saving your lives was a word of gratitude, but when I asked you to pay the price, all of you turned against me. Is this how you treat your savior? Xing Hui looked at the 13 people in front of him with an indifferent expression. Some of them still had a trace of anger on their faces, but most of them instantly sobered up. They were still under Xing Hui's control. If their actions angered Xing Hui, the consequences would be, it was unimaginable. Immediately, a few of them stepped forward and said, "My lord, we're unable to repay you for saving us. Since you've taken a fancy to our treasures, then we'll naturally offer them to you as thanks for saving our lives." Xing Hui glanced at the treasures that they offered and accepted them expressionlessly. You can leave now. Thank you, my lord. The few people who handed over the Dao-carrying items thanked him gratefully and quickly left. Seeing their actions, the remaining sons of chaos also understood the situation in front of them. They stepped forward and handed over their treasures. Your nickname is Lonely Stone. Didn't you prepare 6 Dao-carrying auras for the transaction? But now you're only willing to offer 2 Dao-carrying auras. It seems that you clearly think that these treasures are more important than you being in the hands of those hunters. In that case, I respect your choice, Dogwood. My lord. Madame Dogwood hurriedly stepped forward and bowed respectfully. The Dark Knight treats the sons of chaos that fall into your hands the same way you treat him. Yes. Madame Dogwood responded respectfully. The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight's Madame Dogwood. Oh my God, it's the Dark Knight. It's one of the most terrifying hunter organizations in the Eastern Wilderness Circle of Sons of Chaos. When the Sons of Chaos who originally had other thoughts heard Xing Hui call out Madame Dogwood's name, all the blood drained from their faces. Lonely Stone couldn't help but tremble. Uncontrollable fear surged into his eyes as he cried out in fear, "My lord, I just couldn't react to the upheaval in front of me for a moment and forgot that I actually have 6 Dao-carrying auras. Please give me a chance, my lord. I'm willing to offer up all of my Dao-carrying auras." When the Sons of Chaos who originally had other thoughts learned that the person in front of them was very likely related to the infamous Dark Knight, all of them were terrified to the extreme. They scrambled to be the first to offer up their Dao-carrying items. My lord, these are the Dao-carrying items I have. Thank you for saving our lives, my lord. We are unable to repay your kindness. Please accept these Dao-carrying items, my lord. My lord, these are all the Dao-carrying items I have. If I hide anything from you, may the heavens strike me down. Seeing that the Sons of Chaos were afraid that he'd change his mind because they were too slow, a cold glint flashed through Xing Hui's eyes. This world, sure enough, only the wicked could live a better life. Under the awe of Madame Dogwood's name, none of the Sons of Chaos dared to have any other thoughts. After paying up their Dao-carrying items, they all wanted to leave this place as quickly as possible. Not long after, Xing Hui had already received 46 Dao-carrying items, which was 4 points more than what Ling Yu had received. It was clear that Xing Hui's Dao-carrying items had misled them into thinking that Xing Hui had complete control over the amount of Dao-carrying items they had. As a result, they even offered up the Dao-carrying items that they didn't intend to use to trade. Congratulations, my lord. You've reaped a bountiful harvest. Madame Dogwood, Yun Tao, and Ling Yu, who had appeared from the shadows, hurriedly came forward to congratulate Xing Hui when they saw him put away all of the Dao-carrying items in his personal space. It's all thanks to Madame Lingyu. A hint of shame flashed through Lingyu's eyes. It's my honor to be able to help you, sir. All right, there's no need to say such meaningless words. Lingyu, you just need to remember that as long as you do your best to complete the mission I give you and don't betray me, I won't do anything to you. Yes, I understand. From today onwards, I'll be loyal and devoted to you, sir. I won't dare to be disloyal in the slightest. Xing Hui didn't continue on this topic. He only said, although the saintly winged dragon hawk looks similar to the saintly winged golden roc after being modified, it was still discovered by the people of the Jin Wu religion. In order to avoid causing trouble, we'll head to Wanxiang City on our swords. After he finished speaking, he raised his flying sword into the air. A hint of bitterness appeared on Lingyu's face. Sir, my flying sword and vital energy, Lingyu's vital energy had yet to recover, and her flying sword, divine weapon, and armor had all been taken away by Xing Hui. She didn't have the ability to fly on a sword at all. Madam Dogwood, take her with you. During this time, I'll allow you to recover your vital energy. Xing Hui said. As for the flying sword, divine weapon, and armor, Xing Hui didn't plan to return them to Lingyu. A Lingyu without divine weapon or armor and a fully armed Lingyu naturally couldn't be compared in terms of combat power. Immediately, the four of them flew on their swords and headed towards Wanxiang City. When they reached the outskirts of Wanxiang City, they disregarded the shocked gazes of the people around them and landed on the ground. Among the three of you, who knows Wanxiang City the best? Xing Hui asked as they walked towards Wanxiang City. Madame Dogwood and Yun Tao looked at each other and shook their heads. We spend most of our time overseas. Although we know a little about Wanxiang City, we don't know much about it. If Sir only needs some basic information, we can provide it. Seeing this, Lingyu hurriedly said, I know Wanxiang City quite well. After selling some divine weapons in the 100 Seas City's black market, I used the spirit stones I obtained to buy cultivation resources in Wanxiang City. Oh. When Xing Hui heard this, he seemed to have thought of something and asked, I remember you saying that you used the resources you obtained to buy spirit tempering treasures. I remember that these treasures are usually very precious. Could it be that they are sold in Wanxiang City? The governor of Wanxiang City is someone who stands at the peak of the immortal level. His cultivation level is unfathomable and he can talk directly to the leaders of the top 10 sections. With him around, everyone can trade in Wanxiang City without worry. Therefore, there are usually things that can't be bought in ordinary places. Even the treasures that can train one's spirit can be seen occasionally. When Lingyu said this, a bitter smile appeared on her face. The only problem with trading in Wanxiang City is that the processing fee is too expensive. The 10% processing fee makes many people shrink back. Especially when you need Wanxiang City to act as a guarantor, the processing fee can reach 20% or even 30%. However, it is precisely because Wanxiang City's processing fee is too high that some normal commercial cities have the ability to survive. Xing Hui nodded. Once we enter Wanxiang City, immediately find out where there are spirit tempering treasures for sale. Price is not a problem. Yes. Lingyu, Madame Zhu Yu, and Wanderer Yun Tao hurriedly agreed. Lingyu pondered for a moment and said directly, Sir, spirit tempering treasures are often priceless. However, if you really want to buy them, the Xuanji Pavilion has the best chance. Xuanji Pavilion? Xing Hui was surprised. Isn't Wanxiang Pavilion the biggest commercial force in Wanxiang City? Wanxiang Pavilion is indeed the biggest commercial force in Wanxiang City and has the support of the city lord's residents. However, once Wanxiang Pavilion receives spirit tempering treasures, they usually provide them to the city lord's residents and won't sell them to outsiders. On the other hand, Xuanji Pavilion often sells strange treasures. Sometimes, the items they sell are enough to make Immortality Realm experts go crazy, and even, Lingyu paused for a moment. Not long after Xuanji Pavilion was established, they held an auction for spirit-carrying treasures. Spirit-carrying treasures? Tsing Hui was slightly taken aback. Xuanji Pavilion actually auctioned spirit-carrying treasures? Yes, even though the auction for spirit-carrying treasures was to promote Xuanji Pavilion's name, this point alone can prove Xuanji Pavilion's connections. Alright, Wanderer Yun Tao and Madame Zhu Yu, the two of you will go to Wanxiang City's biggest commercial forces, Wanxiang Pavilion and Heavenly Treasures Pavilion. Ling Yu, the two of us will go directly to Xuanji Pavilion. Yes. Chapter 171. Xuanji Pavilion. It was not the tallest building in Wanxiang City. Regardless of whether it was the city lord's residence or Wanxiang Tower, they were superior to the Xuanji Tower in terms of height and grandeur. However, the number of cultivators coming and going in the Xuanji Tower was significantly higher than other places. The liveliness of the Xuanji Tower was also incomparable to other chambers of commerce. Under Ling Yu's lead, Qing Su directly entered the Hall of Stars. As soon as she entered, Ling Yu immediately went up and handed a crystal card to the attendant who came over, "Get your upper echelon to receive me." Seeing the crystal card in Ling Yu's hand, the waiter respectfully responded, "I'll go and get the manager of the pavilion. Esteemed guests, please follow me to the VIP room to rest." After waiting for a while in the VIP room, a mature spirit-refining woman who looked to be in her 30s stepped into the VIP room. Seeing Ling Yu, she immediately greeted her warmly, "So it's Miss Yu Ling. I didn't know Miss Yu Ling was coming and didn't come out to receive you immediately. I hope Miss Yu Ling will forgive me." Qing Su glanced at Ling Yue. He could roughly guess that this so-called Yuling was her alias when she was outside. "Deacon Bai Jing, this time I've brought you a true big customer. Compared to him, the goods in my hands are just small fries. If you have any treasures related to refining and restoring the spirit, you can take them all out. As long as today's business is successful, your Xuanji Pavilion will definitely make a huge profit." Bai Jing looked at Tsing Hui with some surprise, but her face was still full of smiles. "Treasures that can refine and restore the spirit? You've come at the right time. We've just received a new batch of goods that will definitely satisfy our esteemed guests." Finishing her words, she clapped her hands. After waiting for a female attendant to enter the VIP room, she instructed, "Go, bring me the latest batch of spiritual treasure pills that we got from Heavenly Medicine Union." "Your Excellency Bai Jing, the spiritual treasure pill would naturally be considered a top-notch spiritual treasure pill if I were to use it. However, it is nothing to this lord. If your Jade Pearl Pavilion does not have anything that can satisfy us, we can only go to Vientiane Tower or even Heavenly Medicine Union to try our luck." My apologies. I didn't react in time and forgot that you are the real buyer. I'll get someone to bring out the treasures that were originally going to be auctioned in the Xuanji Pavilion." After Bai Jing finished speaking, the female attendant immediately left without needing any further instructions. Not long after, a young lady in her 20s with a youthful aura walked in. Seeing this woman, Bai Jing was slightly startled. She quickly stood up and asked, "Miss, why are you here?" "Honored guests have arrived, and I am here. As the host, it is my duty to receive them." As the woman said that, she smiled at Qing Su. "I am Xian Yu. Greetings to Miss Yu Ling and this sir. May I know how to address you, sir?" "Tsing Hui. Prince Tsing Hui." The lady, Xian Yu, took an exquisitely framed jade box from the female attendant and handed it to Tsing Hui. "I heard that Prince Tsing Hui needs top-notch medicinal herbs related to the soul. I have a batch of 3 Heaven Awakening pills here. Will this satisfy Prince Tsing Hui?" Heaven Awakening pills. Tsing Hui was surprised to hear this. He didn't expect the Xuanji Pavilion to be able to obtain such pills. However, the Heaven Awakening pills have a good effect on cultivators below the Green Netherworld realm. However, for cultivators above the Green Netherworld realm, the effects are not that obvious. Xing Hui said. Under Xian Yu's astonished gaze, he slowly added, in fact, compared to the pills that temper the soul, I'm more interested in buying pills that can heal the soul. Of course, it would be best if the Xuanji Pavilion could obtain primordial spirit qi. Primordial spirit qi, hearing Xing Hui name such a valuable item, Xian Yu couldn't help but smile bitterly. Primordial spirit qi is extremely precious. Even though the Xuanji Pavilion has some special channels, we are unable to obtain such a treasure. However, if Prince Xing Hui is willing to lower his target, we can obtain some Dragon Soul Incense for Prince Xing Hui. Dragon Soul Incense was also a treasure that could heal the soul. However, its effects were slightly inferior to Primordial Spirit Qi. Since you are unable to obtain Primordial Spirit Qi, Dragon Soul Incense will do. How much is it? We have sorted out the Dragon Soul Incense. 1 stick of Dragon Soul Incense can burn for a day and is sold for 100 spirit crystals or a level 5 divine weapon. 1 stick of Dragon Soul Incense, a level 5 divine weapon. Xing Hui was speechless when he heard this price. Based on the prices in the eastern wilderness, a level 4 divine weapon could be exchanged for 1 point of Tao Rhyme. A level 5 divine weapon would be worth 10 Tao Rhymes. The price of Primordial Spirit Qi in the Chaos Treasure Pavilion was only 10 Tao Rhymes. This was equivalent to selling Dragon Soul Incense for Primordial Spirit Qi. The price was the same, but the effects of the two items were more than 10 times different. Treasures that can temper or heal the soul have always been extremely precious and expensive. Most of the time, there is no market for them. If Prince Xing Hui really wants them, you have to hurry. Xian Yu smiled. Xing Hui couldn't help but fall silent when he heard this. A level 5 divine weapon, in reality, it was only worth 1 Tao Rhyme in the Sky Dome Empire. According to the discount offered to official members of the Sky Dome Empire, it was acceptable to buy 1 stick of Dragon Soul Incense for 1 Tao Rhyme. Although it couldn't be compared to Primordial Spirit Qi, it was much cheaper. Furthermore, other than the matter of Lingyu, he also wanted to make a trip to the 10,000 Swords Mountain. He wanted to make use of the mysterious stone pillar in the 10,000 Swords Mountain to break through to the divine energy uniting realm. In a situation where he didn't have any Primordial Spirit Qi, the Dragon Soul Incense was indeed the best choice. When he thought of that, even though he felt like he was being taken for a fool, Qing Su still said, if it's a Class 5 weapon, then so be it. How many do you have? Xian Yu's smile instantly became extremely warm. We have a total of 30 sticks of Dragon Soul Incense, enough to last you a month. Do you intend to buy all of them? 30 sticks, it was equivalent to the price of a level 6 divine weapon. At this moment, the door to the VIP lounge was pushed open. Following which, a young lady who looked about the same age as Xian Yu, wearing a white dress, walked in. She had a faint mocking smile on her face. When did the price of Dragon Soul Incense reach the level of 100 spirit crystals or a level 5 divine weapon? Why didn't I know about this? I remember that if you have the right channels, you can buy Dragon Soul Incense from the Heaven Medicine Alliance for only 60 spirit crystals. Is this how the Xianji Pavilion treats their VIPs? Yi Feifei. How dare you barge into the VIP lounge of the Xianji Pavilion? Is everyone from the Vientiane Tower so lacking? Please leave immediately. When Xian Yu saw the young lady who barged in, her face was instantly filled with anger. I, Yi Feifei, am also a VIP of the Xianji Pavilion. I just wanted to rest in the VIP lounge and accidentally walked into the wrong place. Are you going to strip me of my VIP status? After Yi Feifei finished speaking, she looked at Xing Hui with a smile. Prince Xing Hui, our Vientiane Tower's Dragon Soul Incense is much cheaper than the Xianji Pavilion's Dragon Soul Incense. 60 spirit crystals is enough. Furthermore, we have 40 sticks. If you need them, you can come to our Vientiane Tower. Men, take her out. Xian Yu shouted angrily. I don't need you to say anything. I'll leave now. My apologies, I've walked out of the place and disturbed everyone. Yi Feifei looked at Xian Yu triumphantly, then nodded at Xing Hui with a smile and left the VIP lounge. 30 sticks of dragon soul incense were worth a 6th-grade divine weapon. This was considered a top-notch transaction for both the Vientiane Tower and the Xianji Pavilion. Usually, there would not be such a large transaction for several months or even years. But now that Yi Feifei had caused such a ruckus, the transaction was obviously going to fall through. Xian Yu panicked and hurriedly turned to Xing Hui and Ling Yu. Both of you, Yi Feifei is the vice head of the Vientiane Tower and has been targeting the Xianji Pavilion all these years. Her words may not be fully trusted. We'll know whether we can trust her completely after we go over and find out. If it's true. I have an old customer who has been doing business with you for several decades, but you actually sold us goods at an inflated price. From now on, we won't do any business with the Xianji Pavilion. Ling Yu stood up with a trace of dissatisfaction on her face. Xing Hui also stood up. He was not particularly satisfied with the dragon soul incense, and the high price had already made Xing Hui somewhat hesitant. Now that there was a cheaper dragon soul incense in the Vientiane Tower, Xing Hui naturally did not intend to continue staying in the Xianji Pavilion. Wait a minute. Seeing how Qin Su was about to turn around and leave, a deal involving a Class 6 divine weapon was about to fall through, Xian Yu made a prompt decision. Doesn't young Master Qing Su want to buy Qi of the Soul? 3 days ago, the excavation team of the Xianji Pavilion had just opened up an ancient cave and coincidentally found some primordial spirit energy in that cave. If Prince Xing Hui needs it, the Xianji Pavilion is willing to sell this primordial spirit energy to you at the price of a 6th-grade divine weapon. Oh. Xing Hui paused. A 6th-grade divine weapon, according to the prices of the Eastern Wilderness, it was worth 30 to 40 Daoist rhymes. But according to the exchange rate of the Sky Dome divine weapon, it was a very good deal. Does the Xianji Pavilion really have primordial spirit energy? Of course. I don't dare to joke with a distinguished guest like Prince Xing Hui. After Xian Yu finished speaking, she quickly added, however, if Prince Xing Hui wants to buy this primordial spirit energy, he will also have to buy the 30 dragon soul incense sticks. We can also give Prince Xing Hui a discounted price for these dragon soul incense sticks. How about 2 5th-grade divine weapons? Xing Hui pondered for a while and nodded. Sure, but I need to check the goods first. Of course, the Xianji Pavilion will never deceive our customers about the quality of our goods. Otherwise, how could we establish ourselves in the Vientiane Tower and develop to the point where we can suppress the Vientiane Tower supported by the city lord's residence? Very good. Xing Hui nodded. It was a pleasant surprise to be able to buy primordial spirit energy. With primordial spirit energy, he would have a higher chance of going to the 10,000 Swords Mountain to refine his mind. Chapter 172. Whoosh! Mount Jian. Several figures emitting terrifying auras landed at the collapsed underground cave at the same time. Among these few figures, the leader was a burly man wearing a fiery red armor. The long cape on his shoulders fluttered in the wind, and he was filled with a domineering aura. The pressure emitted from his body had reached the peak of the green underworld stage. If such a person was placed outside the sea, he would definitely be able to wipe out 99% of the forces outside the sea. It would not be an exaggeration to say that he was invincible. At this moment, several hundred people in the Blazing Flame Mountain Cave had already cleaned up the collapsed cave, revealing the tragic and spectacular battle that had erupted within the cave to everyone. Disciplined King Lai Ji, according to the traces we found, this man, is at least in the syncretism of spirit and qi. Moreover, his cultivation method is very advanced. It is similar to the Golden Crow skill of our Jin Wu religion. An old man from the Jin Wu religion who was in charge of cleaning up the cave came forward and said hesitantly. Syncretism of spirit. Golden Crow skill. Are you saying that someone who is not from our Jin Wu religion has mastered the cultivation method of the fourth stage of the Golden Crow skill? Disciplined King Lai Ji's eyes shone with a cold light. I need detailed information. This is related to the supreme law of our Jin Wu religion. I can't just rely on your inference. The old man glanced at the entrance of the karst cave and said, according to the traces of fighting inside the karst cave, we were 90% sure that even if the cultivator didn't cultivate the Great Sun Golden Crow spell, his cultivation method must be related to the Golden Crow spell. However, the traces left outside the cave made us suspect that the cultivator might have cultivated a secret method similar to the Great Sun Golden Crow spell, but the damage caused by it was similar to the Great Sun Golden Crow spell. You must investigate this matter as soon as possible. If this kid is cultivating the Jin Wu religion's Great Sun Golden Crow technique, then things won't be so simple. I need to personally report this to the sect leader and ask the Grand Elder to capture him alive and force him to reveal the details of how he obtained the Great Sun Golden Crow technique. I understand. I will gather all evidence as soon as possible to prove this conjecture. Our Jin Wu religion has been on the decline during this period of time. Under the pressure of the Hunyuan Heaven sect, the Limitless Sword sect, and the creative All Mysterious Gate, our reputation is not as good as before. The Great Sun Golden Crow technique is the foundation of our Jin Wu religion. If it is leaked out, it will definitely deal a serious blow to our entire Jin Wu religion. I would rather kill the wrong person than let him go. This person is extremely vicious and has killed an elder of my Jin Wu religion. My Jin Wu religion will not let this matter rest. Regardless of whether or not he's cultivating the Great Sun Golden Crow technique, let's capture him first. After Disciplined King Lai Ji finished speaking, he turned to another elder who was in the syncretism of spirit and chi realm. Where did the murderer escape to? Do you have any clues? After the murderer killed the two elders, Hong Yang and Hong Yen, he took the air route to Wanxiang City. We've already sent people to Wanxiang City, and we'll have clues very soon. Wanxiang City. Disciplined King Lai Ji frowned, but that was it. I'll personally make a trip to Wanxiang City and ask for the cooperation of the city lord. No one can get away with killing the higher-ups of the Jin Wu religion. The transaction in Wanxiang City went very smoothly. He obtained 3 level 6 divine weapons, 1 level 6 armor, and 1 level 6 flying sword from Xuanwu's cave abode. He naturally kept the level 6 flying sword for his own use. As for the level 6 armor, it was expensive and Wanxiang City might not be able to afford it. Instead, it was more convenient to sell the 3 level 6 divine weapons. However, Xing Hui, who had obtained the primordial spirit chi, could not wait to head to the 10,000 Swords Mountain's ancestral ground to cultivate. He did not want to stay in Wanxiang City for too long, so he asked Ling Yu to stay in Wanxiang City and keep an eye out for items that could carry the Tao and refine the spirit. Meanwhile, he, Yun Tao, and Madame Zhu Yu headed to the 10,000 Swords Mountain. He needed to train his spirit to its limits in the 10,000 Swords Mountain. Even with the help of the primordial spirit chi, it was still very dangerous. He did not feel at ease letting Ling Yu, who he could not completely trust, follow him. The inland was not as vast as the overseas. Under Yun Tao's control, the sacred winged dragonhawk took only 2 days to arrive at the Hunyuan Heaven sect's 10,000 Swords Mountain's ancestral ground. Xing Hui could not help but sigh as he recalled his first visit to the 10,000 Swords Mountain's ancestral ground. Back then, he had not even reached the immortality stage and had relied on a Tier 3 divine weapon to slaughter his way through the 10,000 Swords Mountain's ancestral ground and destroy the 10,000 Swords Mountain's faction. Now that he thought about it, he had been a little reckless. Fortunately, the 10,000 Swords Mountain was only a small faction and did not have any hidden experts. Their foundation could not be compared to the real top factions. Otherwise, if the 10,000 Swords Mountain had a few true Chi realm patriarchs who were in seclusion and did not come out, and suddenly appeared when he attacked, given his cultivation level back then, he definitely would not have been a match for them. In the end, he would not have been able to escape the fate of having his divine weapon stolen and dying. "My lord, this place is..." Yun Tao and Madame Zhu asked curiously when they saw Tsing Hui stop in an area that had clearly not been visited by anyone for a long time. "Could this be my lord's sect?" Tsing Hui shook his head. "All right, the two of you stand guard outside for me. I want to cultivate here and do not let anyone disturb me." "Yes." Yun Tao and Madame Zhu acknowledged at the same time. "The two of you stay a little further away. Stay at least 1,000 meters away from this mountain." Although Yun Tao and Madame Zhu did not understand the meaning behind Tsing Hui's words, they had taken the spirit-dispersing pill and were loyal to Tsing Hui. Naturally, they would not go against his words and quickly retreated 1,000 meters away. At this time, Tsing Hui had stepped into the depths of the 10,000 Swords Mountain's ancestral ground and reappeared in front of the mysterious stone pillar. Compared to before, the interior of the cave did not change much. Even the mysterious stone pillar was still standing there, and no one was interested in it. After all, other than the 10 great sects, spirit-refining cultivators were very rare in the mainland. Cultivators who had reached the spirit-refining realm and above were usually able to fly on their swords and rarely walk on the ground. This greatly reduced the chances of the cave being discovered. As for cultivators below the spirit-refining realm, once they encountered the sword intent within the mysterious stone pillar, no matter how many came, they would all die. Tsing Hui took a deep breath and reached out to touch the mysterious stone pillar. After a while, he took a deep breath and said, "Last time, even the rank 3 divine weapon, the green firmament sword, could not let me see your true appearance. This time, I will uncover your true secret." After saying that, the golden crow sword appeared in his hand. Accompanied by a wave of heat, Tsing Hui suddenly swung the sword. The golden crow sword turned into a dazzling sword shadow and fiercely slashed at the mysterious stone pillar. For a moment, flames burst out and stone fragments flew. The entire cave began to shake violently with his sword. Amidst the shaking, the mysterious stone pillar also trembled slightly. Following that, a sword intent that was many times stronger than before suddenly burst out. Like a tsunami, it crashed into Tsing Hui's spiritual world. Even though Tsing Hui's spiritual power had greatly improved compared to before, he still felt his spirit sway. After a while, the sword intent's impact gradually dissipated. Only then did Tsing Hui's furrowed brows relax. The sword intent emitted by the stone pillar was very strong. Even though his spiritual level had reached the astonishing 53rd level, he still couldn't calm himself down. Of course, that was all. If it was to say that it could cause him harm, this level of sword intent was already lacking in strength. Looking at the stone pillar that had a large amount of stone fragments, Tsing Hui took a deep breath. In the next moment, the earth energy within his body erupted. The golden crow sword once again burst out with a blazing golden light, and then a wave of heat swept out. Following Tsing Hui's slash, the surface of the mysterious stone pillar seemed to have exploded like a bomb. In the midst of the explosion, even more stone fragments sputtered out. The mighty heat spread out in all directions, impacting the floor of the cave, turning the solid floor of the cave into glass. The remaining power swept upwards, turning the floor of the cave into porcelain and causing it to shatter. Large amounts of rocks rustled down, almost burying the entire hall. The cave is going to collapse. Tsing Hui could not help but frown as he looked at the mysterious stone pillar that he had not completely destroyed. He didn't know what this mysterious stone pillar was, but it was extremely sturdy. Even when he slashed with the golden crow sword with all his strength, he still couldn't completely cut it apart. Moreover, the powerful force of the slash was transmitted to the entire cave, causing the cave to be in imminent danger. If this continued, the cave would completely collapse. At that time, it wouldn't be a small project for him to dig out the mysterious stone pillar from the collapsed mountain. I can only do it bit by bit. Tsing Hui sighed. Immediately, he used the golden crow sword as a shovel and began to poke away the stone fragments around the mysterious stone pillar bit by bit. In this way, although the speed was slow, at least the mountain would not collapse. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. As Tsing Hui continued to clear away the material around the mysterious stone pillar, the stone pillar became thinner and thinner. When the stone pillar was only the size of a wash basin, a layer of stone fragments fell to the ground, revealing a smooth stone surface that looked like a crystal. This stone surface was sparkling and translucent. Even in the darkness of the cave, it still emitted a sparkling and translucent color. Especially, he could sense an extremely terrifying aura coming from this crystal-like solid object. Energy. Solid energy. Tsing Hui's heart thumped as an idea suddenly appeared in his mind. Solid energy. When a cultivator reached the first level of the Saint Realm, their vital energy would transform from a gaseous state to a liquid state. If this liquid vital energy was used in a special way, it could even solidify into spirit crystals, which were rather similar to the solid crystal in front of him. However, compared to the solid spirit crystals formed from vital energy, this solid object in front of him was clearly much more stable. Although it contained a terrifying aura, Tsing Hui could not refine or use it at all. This is definitely solid energy left behind by an expert above the Saint Realm. Without hesitation, Tsing Hui sped up the excavation of the mysterious stone pillar. Finally, after a day, the stone fragments around the mysterious stone pillar were completely cleared away by Tsing Hui, revealing its true appearance. A crystal pillar. A crystal pillar that was about 20 centimeters in diameter and 3 meters in length. It was completely formed from that mysterious solid energy. The truly shocking thing was that at the very center of the crystal pillar, there was actually a sword. A broken sword that only had half of its tip. Chapter 173. This sword, looking at the broken sword in the solid energy crystal pillar, Tsing Hui was slightly startled. This is the source of that mysterious sword intent. Tsing Hui condensed a stream of aura qi and flicked it at the solid energy crystal pillar. A slight vibration force was transmitted to the broken sword. Immediately, the broken sword seemed to be slightly activated and emitted a terrifying sword intent that was insignificant to it, but was enough to kill any spirit refining realm cultivator and even heavily injure a spirit qi unification realm cultivator. As expected, a gleam of light flashed through Qing Su's eyes. This broken sword is the source of the sword intent. Thinking of this, he lit up a stick of dragon soul incense and prepared his primordial spirit qi at the same time. Then, he released a stream of spirit and probed toward the broken sword. He wanted to guide the sword intent out of the broken sword and use it to refine his spirit and soul. Wang Wang. Just as his spirit and will collided with the sword intent of the broken sword, a loud sound like a great bell rang in his spirit world. For a moment, everything was silent. His thoughts seemed to have stopped at this moment, and he completely lost all functions. He could only watch helplessly as the sword light that filled the sky exploded in his spiritual world, as if a star had been destroyed. At first, it dimmed slightly, then it burst out with endless light and heat, completely destroying his spiritual world with the power to destroy it like breaking rotten wood. Collapse. Collapse. Under the attack of the sword intent, his spirit world collapsed to a large extent. In the next breath, his spirit would be completely destroyed by the sword intent, and his soul would scatter. Just as the sword intent that he guided out of the broken sword was about to destroy his spiritual world with an unstoppable force, the sword intent that was so powerful that it froze his consciousness and stopped his thoughts suddenly plummeted, as if it was heavily blocked by a mysterious force. Under the obstruction of this force, Tsing Hui's spirit consciousness that did not have the slightest bit of resistance finally got a precious chance to breathe. Without any hesitation, he immediately guided the energy in his primordial spirit qi and poured it into his sea of consciousness, nourishing the spirit world that was on the verge of collapse. It was only at this moment that the pain of his spiritual world being torn apart abruptly engulfed him. He could not help but let out a shriek and covered his head as he was almost dizzy. Who? After an entire hour, Tsing-Hui managed to struggle out of the mental breakdown by relying on his powerful recovery ability. A portion of the qi of his soul ran out very soon, so Qing Su could only rely on the dragon soul fragrance to reduce the pain in his head. Fortunately, he had prepared the primordial spirit qi and dragon soul incense beforehand. Otherwise, even if he had regained consciousness at the last moment, a mental breakdown would have been inevitable. Even if his recovery ability had reached the fifth step, it would still be difficult for him to escape the fate of having his soul scattered. Terrifying. The sword intent within this broken sword is simply terrifying. Tsing-Hui's eyes flashed with lingering fear. Not long ago, when he was tempering his mind with the help of Reverend Zhu Zhao's light condensing sword in the refining god pavilion, he had felt the horror of a mental breakdown more than once. Under the repeated mental breakdowns, his mind level had been greatly enhanced, and his mental world had developed a strong resistance to this kind of mental attack. The fact that his mind level had reached level 53 was the best proof. However, even if he had made ample preparations beforehand and had a mental level of level 53 as a foundation, he was still crushed without any room for resistance when faced with the sword intent contained within the broken sword. What was more terrifying was, under the crushing pressure of the sword intent, he had no power to resist at all. He could not even withdraw midway. When his thoughts came to a standstill, his mental world had completely collapsed and died. He had unknowingly died. This kind of horror, it made one's hair stand on end. After a while, Tsing-Hui recovered from the shadow of death that had almost caused his soul to scatter. His gaze fell on the solid energy crystal surrounding the broken sword. It was because of this layer of solid energy crystal that most of the sword intent contained within the broken sword that he was able to recover from his frozen state of mind. This is definitely not a broken sword left behind by a saint powerhouse. Divine. This is a divine sword. Tsing-Hui looked at the broken sword and could not help but shudder. However, after hesitating for a moment, he decisively put away the broken sword that was wrapped in the solid energy crystal. Yangming could clearly feel that his spiritual world had grown sufficiently after the crushing earlier. By the time his mental power recovered to its peak, he reckoned that his mental power would naturally break through to the 54th rank. Even though the crushing pressure brought about by the broken sword caused him to be in so much pain that he wished he was dead, it was difficult for him to give up on the rapid growth of his mental power. The only regret was that every time he activated the sword intent within the broken sword, he had to prepare a portion of primordial spirit qi in advance. Otherwise, with the strength of his mental power, he would not be able to withstand the impact of the sword intent within the broken sword, even if the impact of the sword intent was weakened countless times by the solid energy crystal. A portion of primordial spirit qi can increase my mental power by 1 level. The price is not small, but it's worth it. Tsing-Hui secretly made up his mind. He had obtained the 26 Daoist aura item from Xuanwu's cave and obtained 48 Daoist aura from the people of Dawn. His Daoist aura had risen to 74 Daoist aura points. Moreover, Lingyu still had some Daoist aura items that she had yet to hand over. When the time came, his Daoist aura points would be close to the bountiful harvest from the last time. With over 80 Daoist aura points, even if he bought them at the price of 15 Daoist aura per portion of primordial spirit qi, he would still be able to obtain 5 portions. 5 portions meant 5 levels of spiritual power. With his mental power that was close to the peak of the green netherworld realm, he could push his divine grade gang qi to become one with his divine grade gang qi. When the time came, the entire process would be very smooth. I'll go ask the higher-ups in the Sky Dome realm when they'll open the Chaos Treasure Pavilion. Tsing-Hui thought as he entered the Chaos Temple. When he arrived at the Chaos Temple, before Tsing-Hui could enter the Sky Dome realm, he had already received Ling Yu's invitation. Frowning, Tsing-Hui accepted Ling Yu's invitation and stepped into her personal space. Since Ling Yu's identity had been exposed, Dawn had naturally disbanded. Although the layout of her personal space had not changed much, it was now extremely empty. Other than herself, there was no one else inside. Seeing Tsing Hui appear, Ling Yu hurriedly said, "My lord, you have finally appeared. You must not return to Dragon-Slaying Island now. Otherwise, you will be in great danger." What happened? It's about Hong Yang's death. Hong Yang and Hong Yen were both elders of the Jin Wu religion. They were considered to be in the upper echelons of the Jin Wu religion. The Jin Wu religion would definitely investigate the death of such people. Just yesterday, a Shakyamuni of the Jin Wu religion led a few elders to Wanxiang City. After some investigation, they found clues about you. Based on the information, they deduced that you are the owner of Dragon-Slaying Island. Currently, Shakyamuni Lai Ji has personally led a few elders to Dragon-Slaying Island. Shakyamuni Lai Ji has brought people to Dragon-Slaying Island. Tsing Hui frowned. Tsing Hui naturally knew about Shakyamuni Lai Ji. When he obtained the first 3 stages of the Golden Crow skill from Lai Wuyang, he was prepared to face Shakyamuni Lai Ji's revenge. Therefore, he had specially investigated Shakyamuni Lai Ji. When Shakyamuni Lai Ji had awakened the Phoenix bloodline, he had been in the limelight for a while. However, when he was in the Gang Qi realm, he had only cultivated spiritual Gang Qi and gradually became ordinary. However, this so-called ordinary was only relative to the upper echelons of the Jin Wu religion. After hundreds of years of cultivation, Shakyamuni Lai Ji's red flame genuine Qi had reached the pinnacle of perfection. There were few opponents in the green realm who could match him. If Tsing Hui used the divine skill and the divine power of the Yang devouring bead, he would not be afraid of a Shakyamuni of the Jin Wu religion. However, he had used the divine skill not long ago when he captured Ling Yu alive. Even if Shakyamuni Lai Ji had taken 10 days to reach the sea, such a short time was not enough for the divine skill to cool down. Abandon Dragon-Slaying Island? No way. Tsing Hui's expression turned cold. If I kill Shakyamuni Lai Ji, I may be hunted down by the Jin Wu religion. However, at the same time, I may be able to obtain the next cultivation method of the Great Sun Golden Crow technique from the Jin Wu religion. Because of the cultivation method, it's difficult for us to be on good terms. If that's the case, if the Jin Wu religion wants to come, let them come. Thinking of this, he immediately ordered Ling Yu, go to Dragon-Slaying Island as soon as possible. Go to Dragon-Slaying Island. Ling Yu's expression changed slightly. Sir, that's Shakyamuni Lai Ji of the Jin Wu religion. Even if we work together to kill Shakyamuni Lai Ji, Dragon-Slaying Island will never have a peaceful day in the future. Although the Jin Wu religion is not as powerful as the Hunyuan Heaven sect, Shenshao Sword sect, 6 Paths of Divinity and Demons, and Qianquan Holy Land among the 10 great sage sects, they still have more than 10 immortal stage 6 elders. If they send 1 or 2 of them to Dragon-Slaying Island, they can easily destroy Dragon-Slaying Island. The true overlords of the sea weren't human cultivators, but the extremely powerful sea beasts. If the Jin Wu religion dares to send an immortal stage 6 elder here, they must be prepared to lose this elder. As long as 3 to 5 elders die, I'll see if the Jin Wu religion still dares to come to Dragon-Slaying Island. Ling Yu's eyes widened when she heard this. Sir, you want to go against the Jin Wu religion's anger? Just carry out my orders. Tsing Hui's expression turned cold. Or do you mean that I can't order you around when I'm no longer in Wanxiang City? No. Ling Yu hurriedly shook her head. After a while, she said bitterly, all right, I'll go to Dragon-Slaying Island now. Tsing Hui responded. He did not bother to ask about the price of the primordial spirit Qi. He immediately left the cave and ordered Yun Tao and Madame Zhu Yu, who were standing outside the cave. Return to Dragon-Slaying Island at full speed. Chapter 174. The Holy Winged Draconic Eagle was a level 5 flying treasure, and its flying speed was much faster than ordinary warships. Even the Jinwu religion's special warships were no exception. In just 4 days, the Holy Winged Draconic Eagle's wingspan was close to 10 meters. It slowly landed on the square of Dragon-Slaying Island. Dan Taiying and the others who heard the news immediately went forward to welcome it. Disperse all the flying teams on Dragon-Slaying Island. In a few days, there will be a group of people from the Jinwu religion entering the territory of Dragon-Slaying Island. I need to know their whereabouts as soon as possible before they arrive. At the same time, spread the news that the Jinwu religion has sent a group of people to sweep our waters and let the other island forces attack them spontaneously. Yes. After receiving the order, Dan Taiying responded and quickly left. Island Lord, the Jinwu religion has sent a Shakyamuni here personally. I'm afraid they won't let this matter rest so easily. Should we retreat? Anyway, to the many island forces overseas, as long as they have the strength, they can occupy a large island at any time. There's no need to be trapped in one place. Yun Tao asked softly. Let's make a decision based on our discretion. If the Jinwu religion is too powerful, we can only temporarily avoid them. However, this is the final plan. Yes. Yun Tao responded and left. With the threat of the Jinwu religion, the entire Dragon-Slaying Island quickly moved. One by one, the aerial knights rode their flying beasts and spread out in all directions of Dragon-Slaying Island to scout for information. At the same time, as Qing Su purposefully spread the news that the people of the Golden Crow cult were about to arrive, the surrounding islands all felt threatened. Some islands even came to the Dragon-Slaying Island and requested to join the Dragon-Slaying Island, hoping to be protected by the Dragon-Slaying Island. Tsing Hui naturally ignored all of this. Finally, on the second day after Tsing Hui arrived at Dragon-Slaying Island, which was also the 6th day after he left the mainland, the Jinwu religion's warship was discovered by the spies of Dragon-Slaying Island. As the warship was extremely fast, when the spies of Dragon-Slaying Island detected the warship, it was less than 100 kilometers away from Dragon-Slaying Island. So fast. I thought that even if they rode a Type 5 battleship, it would take them at least 8 to 9 days to arrive. Who would have thought that in just 6 days, the Jinwu religion's battleship would arrive? It seems like the Jinwu religion is truly impatient to kill me and avenge elders Hunyuan and Hunyuan. After Tsing Hui finished speaking, he didn't care about anything else and directly stood up. Follow me to meet the attack. With Tsing Hui in the lead, Dan Tating, Yun Tao, and Madame Dogwood all rushed in the direction of the battleship. As for Ling Yu, because Tsing Hui had taken away her rank 5 flying sword, and because her true chi had yet to fully recover, she had not arrived yet. At this moment, on a Jinwu religion battleship about 60 kilometers away from Dragon-Slaying Island, a group of people appeared on the deck with vigilant expressions. However, this group of people wasn't led by disciplined King Liji. All of them were women, and they were the 3 divine Qi unity stage experts who had followed disciplined King Liji's daughter, Lai Wuyang, Ruoying, Xiyang, and Lanli. In addition to these 3 divine Qi unity stage experts, there were several other divine Qi unity stage experts on the battleship, and the leader of these divine Qi unity stage experts was a peak master of the Hunyuan heaven sect, Sky Origin. We'll reach Dragon-Slaying Island in another 60 kilometers, right? The master of Dragon-Slaying Island is a top expert. It said that he relied on killing the master of Dragon Whale Island to rise to his position. He rules over thousands of kilometers of Dragon-Slaying Island and has the ability to kill the master of Dragon Whale Island without letting him escape. He's at least at the intermediate Divine Qi Unity stage, or perhaps even at the advanced Divine Qi Unity stage. Junior Sister Wuyang, we have to be careful. The Sky Origin Peak Master stood on the deck and looked at Lai Wuyang, who was dressed in a fiery red robe and had a sexy figure, with a smile on his face. Of course. This little thief was able to escape with his life from my hands back then. Naturally, his cultivation is extraordinary. According to my estimations, the current him should be a bit stronger than before. Even I don't have the confidence to defeat him. As Lai Wuyang spoke, he glanced at the Void Origin Peak Master with a smile. Fortunately, we met the Void Origin Peak Master on the way here. With the Void Origin Peak Master's assistance, even if this little thief has heaven-defying methods, he will still die in the end. Our Hunyuan Heaven sect and the Jin Wu religion are currently cooperating, so our two sects naturally need to get closer. A small matter like this isn't worth mentioning. Of course. Our Jin Wu religion and the Hunyuan Heaven sect have been on good terms for generations. If the Sky Origin Peak Master needs any help in the future, please don't hesitate to ask. Although Wuyang's words carry little weight, as long as it's something I can help with, Wuyang will not shirk my duty. Junior sister Wuyang is too modest. Who in the world doesn't know that the Jin Wu religion has given birth to a saintess who has cultivated divine-grade astral qi? With junior sister's talent, as long as you continue to grow, your future will be limitless. Once you step into the spirit and qi stage one day, you will practically be the future sect master of the Jin Wu religion. If such a status is considered insignificant, then wouldn't my Sky Origin Peak Master be even less worth mentioning in the Hunyuan Heaven sect? Lai Wuyang smiled faintly. Although the Sky Origin Peak Master was a peak master with limitless potential and a cultivation level higher than her, she, who had cultivated divine-grade astral qi, had potential that the Sky Origin Peak Master could not compare to. This was the basis for the two being on equal terms. Peak Master, someone's coming. They're coming on a sword very quickly. An old man behind the Sky Origin Peak Master suddenly spoke, his gaze fixed in the direction of Dragon-Slaying Island. Looks like our target has arrived. The ignorant are truly fearless. They can't wait to throw away their lives. The Sky Origin Peak Master sneered. You're saying, those people from Dragon-Slaying Island have taken the initiative to attack us? Lai Wuyang was taken aback. That's right, they've come at just the right time. Junior sister Wuyang, just watch from the side. I'll take care of this little thief for you. The Sky Origin Peak Master smiled generously. Lai Wuyang considered the information he had received about Xing Hui's true strength. After a few moments of silence, he finally nodded. Very well. I'll have to trouble Senior Brother Sky Origin. I'll be here to support Senior Brother Sky Origin. While they were conversing, Xing Hui's group of 4 finally appeared in front of the Sky Origin Peak Master and Lai Wuyang. The Sky Origin Peak Master's face turned cold when he saw the 4 people flying over. It seems that the Dragon-Slaying Island Master has been doing quite well recently. He actually has a flying sword for each of them. Although there isn't much profit in the sea, there isn't much pressure from competition. With Dragon-Slaying Island under his control, he must have plundered many treasures. Lai Wuyang said. Now that he has a flying sword, it'll be troublesome if he tries to escape. The best way is to defeat him in one go. Long Hua, Bai Hua, Lu Gui, you 3 are responsible for keeping the 3 Divine Qi Unity Realm cultivators by his side busy. I'll give him a fatal blow. Yes. The 3 Divine Qi Unity Realm experts behind the Sky Origin Peak Master shouted in unison. When Qing Su and the others rapidly drew closer and were already right before him, the Peak Lord of Void Origin immediately called out, "Attack!" Rumble. A moment later, the image of a massive Kuan Peng appeared behind the Sky Origin Peak Master, its wings covering the sky and stirring up clouds and winds. Vast waves of energy swept in from all directions, forming a massive vortex over 300 meters in diameter above his head. Although the Sky Origin Peak Master had yet to cultivate divine quality stellar energy, he had awakened the Kuan Peng bloodline. Moreover, he had been cultivating the Black Hole Sutra all this time, so his power was earth-shattering. He was not at the Blue Netherworld realm, but he was even stronger. Not even the Jin Wu religion's blue netherworld elder Hunyuan could compare to him in terms of power. The Ish. Ching Su's group of 4 flew over on their swords. They moved extremely quickly, but before they could reach the Golden Crow cult's battleship, the Kunping figure that the Sky Origin Peak Lord had conjured had already erupted with a tremendous pressure. It made their expressions change. Kunping. That's the divine beast Kunping. What terrifying cultivation. He can even manifest the Kunping image. Isn't that the Jin Wu religion's worship? Why is there a top expert cultivating the Black Hole Sutra on it? SSS, if we barge in recklessly, we'll be torn to shreds by the Kunping image. Yun Tao, Madame Zhu Yu, and Dan Tating all sucked in a breath of cold air. It was Tsing Hui who was taken aback by the Kunping image that appeared on the Jin Wu religion's worship. When he saw the figure that had summoned the Kunping image, he immediately understood the person's identity. Peak Master Sky Origin. He's actually here, and he's not piloting the Hunyuan Heaven Sex worship. It's obvious that he doesn't want everyone to know about this. Moreover, there was no news from Nayland Fei beforehand. It seems that the Sky Origin Peak Master already suspects her. The Sky Origin Peak Master was an expert at the pinnacle of the Divine Qi Unite stage who had cultivated Saint-grade stellar Qi. Coupled with his status as a Peak Master, he was likely equipped with many divine armors. In terms of battle prowess, he was comparable to an ordinary mid-green netherworld expert. If Tsing Hui had the divine art, he might have been able to put up a fight. But now, it was clearly not the right time. I wanted to save this trump card for Discipline King Lai Ji, but since it's not him, I'll use you to see if I can use this trump card. Tsing Hui instantly made up his mind. At this moment, the Sky Origin Peak Master had already swept across the space between the two and surged toward Zhou Yuan. He was using a high-grade Grade 5 divine sword. As he swung his sword, the surrounding space seemed to dance along with his sword, collapsing. Berserk air currents mixed with sonic booms descended. At first glance, it seemed that the space within a 30-meter radius around Tsing Hui had been shattered. However, Tsing Hui didn't have the divine art. Although he was inferior to the Sky Origin Peak Master, it didn't mean that he couldn't fight back. Clang! As a sword light containing boundless blazing aura surged into the sky, the silhouette of a golden crow appeared behind him. Together with a torrent of destructive power, it completely tore apart the space sealed by the Sky Origin Peak Master's sword. The golden crow sword pierced forward. As the sword light whistled, the golden crow and Kunping images violently collided in the air. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.